Each has demonstrated greatness. But for Michigan and Ohio State, the ultimate success of a season comes down to one game, this game. There will be heroes, and there will be those who would be great. It may come down to the specialty teams play, or maybe an extraordinary effort. Perhaps it'll be the great Keith Byers returning, or Michigan quarterback Jimmy Harbaugh who will decide it. But whatever, whoever steps forward, this will be a game for all time. For this is Ohio State versus Michigan. You need say nothing more. And the stage for this confrontation is not a private one, nor is it a quiet one. Step inside now, Michigan Stadium, where the Ohio State band is on the field. 105,000 spectators will jam into every nook and cranny to watch Michigan take on the Buckeyes of Ohio State. And of course, at this, the last game, Script, Ohio. And out there to dot the I, they'll have a couple of the tuba players, Rod Soriano and Charlie Brown. State-Michigan game without these two great bands here this afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger. All right, the bowl picture. Let's take you right to it. If Iowa wins this afternoon, they will go to the Rose Bowl. And at last check down home, they were ahead of Minnesota by a score of 7-3. But for the Buckeyes, they can still get to a major bowl. If they win here this afternoon, they would go down to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. As for Michigan, win or lose, they are headed for the Fiesta Bowl. But you know, the bowl picture really doesn't matter in this game. It's Ohio State and Michigan. And the players on both of these teams do not consider it a success unless they win this particular game. We're going to come back with Pat Hayden and Jim Nantz. They'll take a look at that Iowa-Minnesota game, and we continue in a moment. Michigan band coming on the field here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, as we continue our pregame pageantry. We're going to come back and hear from this outstanding band. But right now, let's send you to New York. Here's Jim Nantz and Pat Hayden with an update.
All right, thank you very much, Brent, and welcome everyone to a special day here on the College Football Report. I'm Jim Nantz along with Pat Hayden. Today is the day of college football's key games, including over 24 of the game's greatest rivalries. Many conference titles and bowl bids are on the line across the country. And some games, such as Ohio State against Michigan, the game you're about to see here on CBS, fit into both categories. Now, quickly, let's update the scoreboard for you. As Brent mentioned, Iowa in front of Minnesota 7-3. Hawkeyes trying to clinch that berth in the Rose Bowl. Rodney Harmon's 19-yard run set up a touchdown. Harmon got it from 5 yards out. Hawkeyes are driving again. They lead 7-3 over Minnesota's second quarter. All right, Jim, a game with Cotton Bowl significance. Baylor leads Texas 3-0. They've kicked a field goal. If Baylor wins, they go to the Cotton Bowl. In the SEC, Tennessee has kicked 2 field goals. They lead Kentucky 6-0 in the third quarter. LSU and Notre Dame on top 7-0. Tim Brown has scored for the Irish. And talk about rivalries. The 102nd meeting between Harvard and Yale. Yale has just scored in the first quarter. All right, Pat. Clemson and South Carolina just underway. The winner goes to the Independence Bowl. Now, last Saturday down at Clemson, the Tigers lost to Maryland on a controversial late touchdown and then a field goal with 3 seconds left. The tough loss unleashed the darker side of college football.
You missed a call.
Clemson coach Danny Ford exploded at the officials after Maryland tied the game. Then on the final play, the Clemson players took out their frustrations.
2 or 3 times. Quick-headed for a while.
The victim was Maryland's Lewis Askew, who found himself trapped on the Tiger sidelines. Finally, some cooler heads among the Clemson staff and players were able to intervene and draw a halt to this public mugging scene.
You have an atmosphere such as that, things sort of get out of control, and I think the people who are the sorriest today are those who were involved.
And myself and several others, now we can't brag on them too much, but I can brag on the other coaches and the 78 or so players that did that, and I really think a lot of them guys, they're learning faster than some of us slow ones.
For his actions, Coach Ford was put on a year's probation and barred from the sidelines at next year's Maryland game. 6 players were suspended from today's game, and 2 of those who will be eligible to play next year will sit out that Maryland game as well. Now, Pat, your comments on this.
Jim, I know Danny Ford was embarrassed about the whole situation, but he should be. He knows that Clemson's a very difficult place for opponents to play. They call it Death Valley. And he should know that if he races out in the field and screams at officials, he's going to get some sort of reaction from the home crowd and his players. Now, his tone set the scene up for that mugging on the sideline. What I'm afraid is that the penalties imposed by the ACC and the school are not quite stiff enough. I don't believe Danny Ford should be eligible to be coaching today against South Carolina or in a bowl game should they go.
Okay, Pat. Now let's update that Iowa score. They have kicked the field goal, and they now lead Minnesota by 7, 10-3 in the second quarter. Let's go now back to Ann Arbor to Brent Musburger, who has a few more comments to add on that Clemson situation. Brent?
Well, Jim, I just want to applaud the action that was taken by the commissioner of the ACC. And I'm not sure that I necessarily agree with Pat Hayden, my colleague. I would go ahead and let Coach Ford walk the sidelines today, but I certainly do not think that he should be up in Maryland next year when they have that rematch. An incident like that has no place at all in any game, be it collegiate or professional. And I hearken back to a Big Ten basketball game many years ago when Luke Woody of Ohio State was stopped by several Minnesota players. So I'm glad, and I hope that because of the penalties, it will not be repeated. Now, Michigan band's on the field, and let's hear from the victors. And we will be back in Ann Arbor in just a moment. It's Ohio State and Michigan. Last week, Ohio State was upset by Wisconsin. So the legendary General Woody Hayes came out of the hospital to rally the troops.
That's behind you. That's behind you. You always live by growing up. So that's what's going to take tomorrow. Take it against old Bo and his smart aleck and just kick the hell out of them.
It won't be easy. What's ahead of Ohio State is a Michigan defense that has yielded only 3 touchdowns all season long. This series began before the turn of the century, and it hasn't cooled down since. We are live from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
CBS Sports presents college football. Live from Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, Michigan, it's the Ohio State Buckeyes versus the Michigan Wolverines. Today's game is sponsored by Today's Chevrolet, who invite you to live the style, performance, and fun of Chevrolet in '86. Mr. Goodrich and General Motors Parts. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you.
We are live in Ann Arbor. And, of course, this is Ohio State and Michigan. And welcome back, everybody. I'm Brent Musburger, along with Coach Ara Parseghian. As we can see, the faithful have arrived, and they have been here for about the last hour or so. And, Coach, we got a break in the weather. This is ideal for a football game.
Super game for football. At this time of the year, you never know what you're going to get. Yesterday, when that ice fell, I thought, golly, we're going to have a tough field. But as I saw him cleaning the snow and the ice off the field this morning, I said, we're going to have a great field, great game.
You know, Ara, the fans are very familiar with this confrontation. They watch it every year on television.
Well, that's exactly right, Brent. You know, for years, people have associated this game as a conservative game. 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but that's no longer true. Bo Schembechler and, of course, Earl Bruce have gone to the pass, and very successfully, and there's statistical evidence to bear that out. Jimmy Carsadas, the Ohio State quarterback, has thrown 18 touchdown passes. He's ranked number 2 in the nation. And who do you suppose is number 3 in the nation? Jimmy Harbaugh of Michigan, who's thrown 15 touchdown passes. And I say this, and offensively, these two teams are pretty evenly matched.
You know, defensively, Michigan may be the finest any place. They've only given up 3 touchdowns this year.
They've been absolutely sensational during the entire season. And one of those 3 touchdowns, Brent, was against the second and third team. It's incredible in 10 games to just have given these 3 touchdowns. But the thing about it, they're #1 in scoring defense in the nation, giving 5.8. And as you look at the defensive categories in the Big Ten, they're #1 in every one of them.
Now, how did they turn it around so much this year?
Well, one of the things that has happened, they have stayed healthy. That's one thing. But they're highly motivated, and that has accentuated their intensity. And, of course, you know, it's a little bit like the 11th commandment. They say, thou shalt not pass my goal line. And they're very flexible. They adjust very easily to any situation that they're hurt by.
All right, and that Michigan team is now coming out of the tunnel. There has been some gamesmanship here in Ann Arbor. Normally, the visiting team comes out first. But Ohio State said, no, it's our choice, and we would prefer that Michigan take the field first. In other words, they want this stadium all lit up before they're standing out there and watching as the Wolverines come out. So Bo Schembechler and Michigan now waiting back there in the tunnel. They put up the banner. And, of course, they enter the stadium, come out into the middle of the field, and they come right underneath that banner, which is now being raised out there in the middle of the field. Meanwhile, Coach Earl Bruce is back there in the locker room with his Buckeyes. They don't want to stand out there and watch Go Blue, and here they come. So with the crowd still cheering for the Wolverines, many of the Buckeyes have to feel that indeed there is some love here in Ann Arbor. And they go to the end zone right adjacent to where their fans who have traveled here for this showdown have their seats behind that end zone. There is a breaking story regarding Michigan. Let's go down on the field to Pat O'Brien. Pat?
Thank you, Brent. First, I want to remind everybody that last week Earl Bruce suspended 2 players, Rory Graves and Terry White. They will play today. But this week, Bo Schembechler became the disciplinarian. He had to suspend 2 players, 2 key players, for team rules violations. Rick Suckowitz and Mike Gillette. Now, let me tell you how important Mike Gillette was to this team this year. He has the Michigan record for field goals at 17. Replacing him today is a young man with virtually no playing experience on this team, number 6, Pat Moons. It's all in his foot, Brent, and I talked to him earlier, and he said, hey, I've been waiting a long time for this. There's no pressure here, huh, Brent? 105,000 people, Ohio State and Michigan. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, Pat, Nera and I were watching Moons carefully, and he seemed to be very accurate in the pregame warm-ups, but he moves into the pressure cooker. Nera, what about the keys here this afternoon?
Well, obviously, you're going to try to beat that Michigan defense. I think Ohio State has to violate one of the basic principles of offensive football. They cannot repeat successful plays, at least for 3 or 4 plays, because Michigan overreacts to the situation. They close holes very quickly. That's number 1. Number 2, I think the fans should watch to see whether or not Ohio State can execute their third down plays and short, and also the goal line attack. That'll be the key.
And, of course, the star, number 41, Keith Byers. He warmed up prior to the start of this game. They're going to test him early. Ready to go. The Buckeyes of Ohio State won the flip, and they said, we want the football. And that means that Pat Moons, the man who takes over here for his suspended teammates, will kick off the start of this game. Telling Pat O'Brien that he's waited a long time for his opportunity, and Bo Schembechler gave it to him yesterday. We were in Bo's office when he made that tough but courageous decision yesterday, saying no one violates the rules on this team. And now it is up to Moons to handle the kicking chores. And the deep men, Vince Workman, standing back there with John Woolridge, number 25, who has been playing the last few weeks despite painfully injured ribs. Ohio State and Michigan are underway. Woolridge at the 7. Breaks free at the 25, the 30, the 35. And Moons Williams, the kicker, finally gets him out of bounds near the 45-yard line. A 34-yard return, Coach.
Excellent return, but there was a missed tackle on the play that made the difference. You'll see right here as he comes up, I cannot see quite the number 15. That's Arnold, their good big play man for him. And he's finally brought down by the kicker, as Brent has pointed out.
Now, attacking today for Ohio State, Jim Carsotos, of course, will be the quarterback, and Keith Byers, he will start the game. They will find out early if that foot will hold up here in Ann Arbor. On first down, it's the fullback, Cooper, and Billy Harris, the nose guard, brought him down. Now let's take a look at the men Carsotos will attack with. Right behind him, the big, young, talented fullback, George Cooper. And, of course, last year's All-American Keith Byers, who's had such a disappointing senior season. Mike Lanise, who made the great catch in Columbus. Chris Carter, the spectacular young receiver, and the tight end, Ed Taggart, with the toughest defense in the land, awaiting Carsotos in 2nd and 8. The pitch, and Byers' first carry. They stretch him out. He turns upfield, gets across the 45. Brad Cochran brings him down. Jeff Akers, 33, over there to assist on it.
Here comes Byers. I was impressed with him. I didn't think he'd be able to cut, but he showed great speed. He puts a little move on right here. He said he could stop all right. You saw the little move there. The foot looks like it's going to be all right. Brad Cochran finally got him down, but he took a shot before he did it.
It is the first third down situation of the game. And off a play fake, Carsotos, and there's a penalty marker down. There is a penalty flag down on the play. Mike Mallory picked the pass off, and the penalty is going to be against Ohio State. So obviously, Michigan would keep the ball in that situation. We've had our first turnover.
Seems to be some discussion there as to we'll get it here in a minute, I guess.
The preliminary sign was holding against the Buckeyes.
So it is. It is a turnover. This is what I talked about. Key plays on third down and short and goal line. Carsotos is right there. Watch Mallory, number 42, step right inside of Byers and make a great interception.
Tom Tupa punting. Iowa running up on Minnesota. We'll get an update on that in a moment. Tom Tupa is set to punt. And he must not have had control of that ball.
His back was to us, and apparently the ball hit the ground, and that must have been what all the discussion was about.
Gilbany Johnson. And there was movement in that line, so both teams a little bit uneasy here at the early going.
I think Ohio State moved, and the response was by Michigan after the offensive lineman moved. No, they're calling it the other way.
And that, of course, is a critical penalty, giving a first down to the Buckeyes.
Excuse me, Brent, I was under the impression here that Ohio State moved. No, the Ohio State man responded to the movement. Good call by the officials.
It'll be 1st and 10 for the Buckeyes.
Well, that's one way to get a first down. You can't do it on short yardage.
Fumble. The ball is put down on the carpet and recovered by Carsotos, who jumped back down on it. Last week they had an exchange problem. which contributed to one of their 3 costly turnovers against Wisconsin in that 12-7 upset. Carsado's pulling away last week, and Maggs did not deliver the ball. This week, Carsado's appeared to have possession from the center snap, just fumbled it, and then recovered it. But it'll be 2nd down and 11 yards to go for the Buckeyes. And again, movement, and what a sloppy start we've had to this game. And while they try to sort things out, let's get an update on that Minnesota game.
Brent, you've seen Chuck Long do this before this season. 3rd and 4 from the goal line. Great fake to Harmon. White flags in the back of the end zone. Chuck Long has now thrown for 10,000 yards in his career. It looks like he's going to Pasadena, Brent. Let's go back to Brent Nero.
Indeed, Pat, and that would send the Hawkeyes to the Rose Bowl. And, of course, here, Ohio State needs a win to get into the Cotton Bowl. Michigan already committed to the Fiesta Bowl. And, Coach, what was that penalty?
Well, again, it seems that they're a little tight. They're not playing relaxed and with great confidence. There's been exchange problems, offside problems. They got to settle down. They're really keyed up. Both teams keyed up for this football game.
And with the penalty assessed the Buckeyes, this is 2nd and 17. Moeller showed blitz, backed out. Carsados under pressure. Safety valve Cooper. Cooper to midfield. Akers and Moeller wrestle him down there. Now here is the offensive line starting today for the Buckeyes. Rory Graves coming back from the 1-game suspension. He works next to Jeff Uhlenhake. And at center is Bob Maggs, one of the better ones in the country. And at right side, Jim Gilmore and Larry Cotterman. Now that's the side that they will choose when they need a first down. Frequently they will run behind Gilmore and Cotterman. This is 3rd and 12. Incomplete. Mike Lanise was the intended receiver. Well covered by that Michigan secondary that time, Aaron.
On both pass attempts that Carsados tried in that series of downs, the receivers, the principal receivers, were exceptionally well covered. So it speaks well for the Michigan defense, certainly on this first drive.
Tom Tupa and Tony Gant is the deep man for the Wolverines, standing at the 10-yard line. Tupa's punt is high, fielded at the 16, and he is smothered right there. So we'll come back, and the Wolverines will have their first possession. No score, Ohio State and Michigan. In the early going era, it simply seems like a case of nerves.
It really does. Ohio State's first possession brought about an exchange fumble, an interception almost by Mallory, apparently to hit the ground, 2 offside penalties and a holding penalty. So you can see they're really tight and keyed up. They're going to have to loosen up a little.
Jim Harbaugh brings the Wolverines up. The ball on the 18-yard line. Stretching the count out. Off a play fake. Harbaugh roll, throws to Caddis, the tight end. And Caddis to the 25, where Chris Spielman, number 36, brought him down.
One of the things that Ohio State feared was the ability of Harbaugh to scramble. He has flushed out of the pocket. He's looking downfield now. He scrambles out. He did this beautifully last week. There's Caddis, number 81, Spielman. And I mean, Spielman makes a lot of tackles. You'll hear his name most of the afternoon.
Caddis, a favorite target of Harbaugh, and he moves Caddis to the right side in this alignment, splitting the running backs. Hands off, and Morris comes through, exploding out to the 47-yard line, where Greg Rogan was forced to bring him down.
Brent, he had a beautiful hole blocked off the off-tackle side, the strong side, where, watch here, Caddis makes a beautiful block, number 81, along with Clay Miller, 79, and that's why Jamie Morris popped through there.
This has been a week for the Morris brothers. Joe exploding Monday night for 3 scores for the Giants. Now it's his younger brother, Jamie, coming through the hole for the biggest play so far of this game. And on first down, they come right back with him. He comes free on the outside, breaking a tackle near the line of scrimmage with that second effort. Era in talking to the Michigan coaches, especially Schembechler, they were going to change their basic off-tackle dive today. What were they going to do?
Well, they've got a number of blocking combinations in there. What was interesting there, Brent, was the fact that they came back to the same area. I was talking about Ohio State Michigan overreacting defensively. You saw Ohio State do the same thing. They got hurt to that one off-tackle spot. Michigan tried it again, but they failed with it.
Bob Perriman is now in at fullback. They'll bring the end around. Colasar, number 40. Ohio State was ready, but there's an obvious clip. And it will go against number 67, John Vitale, the offensive guard, doubling back to pick up the defender who stayed at home for the Buckeyes.
Clipping on the run.
That was William White who had penetrated on that play, and he was clipped by Vitale.
This is a very obvious clip because it's right out in the open. You'll see number 67 coming in from the left side of your screen right there. And the official is there to see it. Very bad judgment on the part of Vitale.
Let's take a look at Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan offense that will be operating here this afternoon. One of the more improved quarterbacks in all the land this year. Gerald White, an all-purpose runner who also operates a tailback when Jamie Morris is not there. You just saw John Colasar, a talented freshman, on the end around. Paul Jokic is 6'8", and a favorite target is that tight end Eric Caddis. He's one of the better ones in the country, too. The Ohio State coaches were very impressed, not only with his receiving ability, but also his blocking. This is a 2nd and 25, and both teams are staggering here at the opening of this game. Harbaugh to pull back, trying to run out. He shovels it off. An extemporaneous play, and it is Morris getting out to the 45, where Greg Rogan and Thomas Johnson bring him down. A 13-yard gain.
Great presence of mind by Harbaugh. He's going to be sacked, and he dumps the ball off right at the last moment. Watch this. Harbaugh's going to be tackled for a loss. He steps in between the 2 rushers, Kummerow and Lead. Look at that. He deals the ball off to Jamie right at the last second before he goes down for a sack. Great play by Harbaugh.
Harbaugh made that play work for a touchdown against Iowa when he shoveled the pass to Gerald White. This is 3rd and 12 for the Wolverines. It is Morris on the draw. Across midfield, he is short of the first down. And again, it is Johnson and Greg Rogan. Pepper Johnson, number 98, who grew up in the Detroit area, did not play the first quarter of last week's loss because he didn't feel well and he had a tender knee. He came in for the last 3, and of course he is a ringleader whom the Buckeyes count on the field. Monty Robbins will punt now for the Wolverines. And the sure-handed Mike Lanise is standing at the 10-yard line. The Buckeyes set a return. The punt is going out of bounds. And a beautiful punt by Monty Robbins. Inside the 5-yard line, it'll be placed. Dangerous field position for Jimmy Carsados. A 43-yard punt, and it was a beauty. We'll be right back. Linebacker Andy Moeller is the son of the defensive coordinator, Gary Moeller. And we asked him about their relationship.
I think I play relaxed in terms that I really don't have any problem getting along with my position coach. I've been around him a lot, so I know him pretty well, and he knows me pretty well. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a pretty relaxed atmosphere, and I think that helps me.
And, of course, his compatriot, Mike Mallory, is the son of Indiana coach Bill Mallory. So they have 2 smart linebackers operating inside. 1st and 10, the ball on the 4. Byers up the middle, bounces off one tackler, gets to the 10, and Andy Moeller brings him down on cue. Let's get an update now in New York, and here's Pat Hayden. Pat?
All right, Brent. Daryl Dickey throws this fade pattern beautifully. This one's to Joey Klingscales, 18 yards for the score. Now, Dickey has thrown for 3 touchdowns. They lead 28-0, and Tennessee is keeping their Sugar Bowl hopes alive. Let's go back to Brent Nero.
And another son of a former coach. Quarterback Dickey at Tennessee, and of course, if they win here and then Vanderbilt, they would go to the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. On second down, here's the pitch to Byers, and Byers is swarmed on at the 9-yard line. Let's take a look at this defense that has given up less than a touchdown an outing. Jim Scarcelli, number 85, one of the outside linebackers. Mark Mesner, tremendously improved. Good nose guard Billy Harris. An All-American at the other tackle, Mike Hammerstein. And, of course, number 33 is Jeff Akers, also outside. There is not a weak link on this defense. And something else there, they've stayed healthy.
They really have, and that's been key for them. But they've played with great confidence, and, of course, that increases that motivation, as we talked about.
Here is 3rd and 4. The Buckeyes will throw it. Safety valve. Byers, first down. Moeller tackling Byers, but he got enough for an Ohio State first down, and it's an important first down.
It really is, Brent, exactly what I was going to say, because they would have been forced to punt deep in their own territory. Michigan would have gotten good field position. Here you see Carsados in the pocket, steps up in, and he finds Byers, and Byers just gets past that first down marker. Very important.
Coach Earl Bruce on the Ohio State sideline. And a quick handoff to Cooper, the fullback, who followed the right side of that Buckeye line near the 20-yard line. Moeller and Mallory brought him down, and let's meet the rest of that Michigan defense. Mike Mallory, he calls the signals out there, taking it from Gary Moeller on the sideline. There's Gary's son. Now, excellent secondary. Garland Rivers at one corner, and one of the best in the land. Number 30, Brad Cochran, whom they stay away from frequently. Back at safety, Ivan Hicks, number 17, and number 14, Tony Gant. Now, Mallory was shaken up on that last play. He's coming over to the sideline, and he is leaving the game right now, indicating that he's just a touch woozy. Todd Schulte, number 41 for the Wolverines, has gone into his place, and Andy Moeller immediately steps in as the captain on the field. Schulte checking to make sure that he has the signal with the defensive coordinators. This is a 2nd and 9, ball on the 19.
Todd Schulte is 6'2", 223, about the same size as Moeller. Or rather, Mallory.
A play fake. Byers out as a receiver is covered. Carsados goes long, but he underthrows, and it is intercepted. Hicks picks it off for Michigan.
Carsados had Taggart open early, but he threw the ball too late. He waited too long. I could see Taggart from the press box, but now he tries to throw too long. Taggart was open in front of the defenders much earlier than that.
Michigan with excellent field position. A first down on the Ohio State 38-yard line. Gerald White. Larry Kolick, number 33, tackled him. Let's take a look at the Ohio State defense operating today. Fred Ritter at one defensive tackle. Darrell Lee, 95, at the other. Eric Kummerow, who missed last week's game, is back. Chris Spielman, one of the better young linebackers in the land. Larry Kolick, who plays down at the nose guard and backs off. Pepper Johnson, and of course Byron Lee, 82, who's had a good year. Now Ray Holloman, number 55, has replaced Ritter at one of the tackle spots. A fake to Morris. Harbaugh under pressure. Circles back. Throws to Colasar, complete at the 30-yard line. John Colasar, the freshman from Westlake, Ohio, continued to ad-lib his pattern, and Harbaugh picked him up.
Ad-libbing, of course, was Harbaugh. Watch him scramble out of here. This is why Ohio State was concerned about Harbaugh. Looks like he's going to be sacked right there by Lee, number 95. He spins out and away, finds Kolesar under pressure, and there it is, a completion. Great job by Harbaugh.
And Harbaugh paid a price, Era. Take a look at Kummerow, number 14, who is coming in from the linebacking spot. He's got a shot at Harbaugh, and he makes him pay. It is 3rd and 3. Double tight end for the Wolverines. Harbaugh on a bootleg to the right, throwing complete, and it is Caddis, the tight end. William White with the tackle, but it's a Michigan first down, and there is Eric Caddis again, the Wolverine tight end.
And good bootleg by Harbaugh. He really faked the entire Ohio State Buckeye team and was wide open out there. He could have run the ball or thrown the ball to Caddis as he did.
Era, Jim Harbaugh is starting off with a hot hand.
Really is. He's 4 for 4 for 34 yards, and he has scrambled very well and avoided the sacks.
The ball is at the 22 with this first down. Morris looking for daylight. Surrounded there at the 20-yard line by the Buckeyes. Well, there is another the game.
Yeah. Ricky Latacevita is not very happy with that score.
That is our producer, who is down in the truck wearing a Harvard sweater. Can you imagine such a thing on a day when Michigan is playing Ohio State? We may not allow him back. 2nd and 8. Ball on the 20. Kolesar in motion. Here's the pitch. Morris. And he is swarmed on with the blitz by Sonny Gordon, the Roverback. Watch the penetration by the Buckeye defense. And of course it is Rogan who blocked that punt against Iowa, coming up and on the pitch, getting through on the inside and bringing Morris to the ground.
You know, yesterday Bo Schembechler made a comment that I think may be true in this football game. He said the team that has the hot passer will probably win. Well, both quarterbacks came in here having really hot hands, but Harbaugh thus far has been the more accurate of the two. Here he is again with the throw.
3rd and 11. Harbaugh hits Caddis again, and he is brought out of bounds by Rogan. Far short of the first down, Era.
Boy, the defensive secondary now is tackling like they did in the Ohio-Iowa game. Great job here by Greg Rogan, number 29. Watch him come in and take Caddis. Right there. Great tackle. That's form tackling. Beautiful job by a defensive back on a tight end.
And here is Pat Moons, who today is handling the kicking chores. This will be a 34-yard attempt by Moons. It is up. And Pat Moons hits his first field goal. His first collegiate field goal. He waited a long time for the opportunity. No, we are back here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Possible Cotton Bowl berth if Ohio State can win it. Meanwhile, how about the Southwest Conference? Here's Pat Hayden.
All right, Brent, you're going to see a strong 8-yard run here by Edwin Simmons. He breaks 3 tackles. He wants to be in the Cotton Bowl on January 1st. Texas is driving again after a turnover, but right now they lead 7-3 in the 3rd quarter. Let's go back to Brent Nera.
All right, Pat, and of course if Texas wins, then it would come down to Thanksgiving night and that confrontation in College Station against Texas A&M to see who would represent the Southwest Conference. What do you think of Byers' performance so far, Era?
I think his foot looks very well. His foot, at least his running, has looked very good. When he made the first cut that time when he came to the sideline, he may be a very vital factor in this game yet.
Moons hits it. Workman at the 5. Up the middle and brought down short of the 20-yard line. And of course tomorrow our action continues here at 12:30 Eastern Time on CBS. We'll talk live to Joe Theismann, who suffered that terrible injury last Monday night. And also, we will talk live to Roger Staubach about whether or not the Cowboys can recover after that terrible loss to the Bears. And speaking of the Bears, how about Bear Mania? We'll take a look at the city of Chicago and how they're responding to their unbeaten team. Well, Vince Workman, the freshman, is now at tailback for the Buckeyes. His first carry behind Cooper has a seam. Steps out smartly to the 31-yard line before Hicks got him out of bounds. And it's going to be a first down for the Buckeyes on that 12-yard run by Workman.
Excellent running by Workman, a young freshman. They did not want to put the burden of being the ball carrier all afternoon against the Michigan Wolverines, but he certainly responds well here with a good run and a first down.
Defensively, Mallory has returned for the Wolverines. Mallory and Moeller are the inside linebackers. Long count, and it's the fullback Cooper out to the 35. Hammerstein, number 66. That's a duel we want to watch in that interior line. How will Ohio State handle Hammerstein here this afternoon? He is perhaps the most improved defensive lineman in the country, certainly in the Big Ten. The Ohio State coach is raving about him all week. And now Keith Byers returns to the game with a 2nd and 7 and the ball at the 35. Byers is ready there at tailback. Here he comes, looking for daylight. He got out to the 37, and Mallory tackling him. It was a foot he broke back in August before the season even began that ruined Keith Byers' senior season, one of which he was favored to win the Heisman Trophy. Then after missing much of the campaign, he finally returned playing against Purdue. He tried it against Minnesota, re-injured the foot, and has not done anything since.
Well, it's tough on Keith because he had over 1,700 yards last year and had to lay out most of this season.
Here's the third down with 5 yards to go, and Carsados audibling at the line of scrimmage. They press the receivers off the line. Carsados, and he hits Carter at midfield. A first down for the Buckeyes. Garland Rivers had come up in a bump and run. Carter got behind him, made the reception, and it's a first down.
Great move there by Carter on the sideline. Here's Carsados. Delivers the ball right on. He has Garland Rivers, number 13, beat him. Put a great move on him.
As soon as Carsados called the audible, Rivers went into a bump and run, coming up to press Carter, who made a splendid move on him coming off the line. Carter now going to the left side. And again, they run on first down for the 7th straight time. Byers tried to turn it back inside when he saw the hole, and Cochran, along with Mallory, were there to close it with time running out here in the first quarter.
Mallory has been a real force in here defensively in this first quarter, certainly.
We've come to the end of the first quarter. A Pat Moon's field goal has Michigan ahead of Ohio State. We'll return after this commercial and a word from your local station. If you're a college football player or a fan, this has to be one of your favorite settings in the land. Ann Arbor, Michigan, more than 105,000 folks on hand here this afternoon, and it turned out to be a good one as far as the weather is concerned. How good is this Michigan defense? Well, NFL scouts have projected to me that 3 quarterbacks in the Big Ten could be drafted in the first round. Chuck Long of Iowa, Jack Trudeau of Illinois, and Jim Everett of Purdue. Michigan did not allow any of the 3 to score a touchdown. That's how good they are. Jim Carsados in Ohio State now faces a 2nd and 8 with the ball at the 48.
And he was 3 for 6 in the first quarter for 26 yards. They started a little shaky, both teams, butterflies, of course, but they've settled down now, and I think we're going to see some good football.
Byers and Cooper are the running backs behind Carsados. Complete to Taggart, the tight end. Short of the first down. Jeff Akers, number 33, the outside linebacker, had the coverage. The Hawkeyes needing a win to get to Pasadena in the Rose Bowl, and they're closing in. Iowa State shutting out Oklahoma State, which would be a big upset. Oklahoma State probably has one eye on that Oklahoma game, which is still to come. And of course, Texas with the lead on Baylor, Edwin Simmons. Young man of unfulfilled potential down there in Austin, Texas, scored that touchdown. It is 3rd and 3. And here's Cooper picking his daylight and busting down to the 35 where Scarcelli brought him down, but that's another Ohio State first down.
Boy, he really powered in there. He got good blocking. Backside guard pulled. Watch this. The left guard, who is Uhlenhage, pulls, puts a trap on. There's a nice hole there for Cooper. Number 45, Reinhold, the middle guard, almost gets over to make the play, but Cooper is a load of 245 pounds.
Billy Harris replaces Reinhold on this 1st and 10. And it's Cooper again into the middle of that defense where Harris, number 56, was awaiting him. First down in a game like this, Era, is so critical to the defensive coaches.
It really is, and also to the offensive coaches. As Glenn Mason, the offensive coordinator of Ohio State, said yesterday, he did not want to get forced into the 2nd down and 7, 8, and 9s, and they have been, but Karsatis has delivered on this drive.
Now here they are with a 2nd and 7. Era, would this be an automatic pass? He's got Byers running pretty well in that backfield, and of course every pass that they throw, they come up with a play fake.
I think they'll come up with a pass here.
Lanise is in motion. And quickly to Carter with Lanise slipping outside, and Michigan was all over the play with Scarcelli, that outside linebacker, and Mesner, number 60, teaming up.
Boy, did you see that whole Michigan defense react to that ball? It's great pursuit on the part of this Michigan team. No wonder they're so good.
And the point you made at the top of the broadcast, you have to keep changing up your play selection against the Wolverines, because if you burn them once, they'll remember.
Exactly. They react well to any kind of situation that they've been hurt by. They change their alignment, they put stunts on, change their coverages. They're a very tough team to figure out.
This is a 3rd and 9. Ohio State is 3 of 5 in 3rd down conversions so far. And here's Cooper, and they are 3 of 6. The ball got to the 30-yard line. Mike Mallory staying at home and reading it well.
He's made some great plays in this game so far, and we're just starting the 2nd quarter. Mallory's made several great tackles. If he hadn't gotten his arm out there to trip him up, he was going to go for good yardage.
Now Spangler will attempt a field goal, which would tie the game. The ball will be placed down at the 38. It'll be a 48-yard effort. Michigan leading Ohio State 3-0. We have 11:45 in the first half. It's tied at 3. A 48-yard field goal by Rich Spangler. The kicking duel is underway. Moons hits one for Michigan. Then Spangler comes right back. We are back with 11:40 to go here in the first half. Michigan and Ohio State are tied at 3. The significance of this game, as far as a New Year's Day Bowl is concerned, is much greater for the Buckeyes than for the Wolverines and their loyal fans who come in any sort of costume here to Ann Arbor. Because the Buckeyes need a win here to get to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. College football coming up, of course, on Thanksgiving weekend. Virginia, Maryland. They'll go up on Friday, 2:30 Eastern time. That's the first anniversary of the Doug Flutie game. Then on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern time, it is Notre Dame and Miami. It could be Jerry Faust's last game as head coach of the Irish. That story is still unfolding. Spangler kicking it off. And there is John Colasar along with Jamie Morris. This will be Morris at the 2. Brought down at the 16-yard line. Sonny Gordon, the Rover, got down to help out on that tackle. The Ohio State coaches were not satisfied with the performance of their specialty teams, and they came in here feeling that Michigan might have an edge. And there is their fine young linebacker, Chris Spielman. We asked Chris how he motivated himself for games like this.
Well, I really don't say too much with words. If I'm a leader at all, I try to lead by example, and I think every one of us on this team knows what this game means, and I don't think any of us have to have somebody to get us motivated. I think that's all going to come within.
Controlled insanity is how the young man's game was described to us. On first down, Harbaugh will throw it. They set the screen to Morris. Fumble. Ohio State. Eric Kumerow was there along with Chris Spielman, who delivered the blow.
Just got talking about Spielman, and he does the job. A screen pass off to your left to Jamie Morris. Wait, Harbaugh does a good job of looking everybody off and then dumping the ball off to Morris. Morris tries to cut back to the inside. Spielman right there shakes the ball loose. Great job, great break for the Buckeyes.
Let's take a look at this young linebacker with his best years still ahead of him. Roaming free, stepping inside Tabachino, delivers the blow, strips the ball, and Kumerow pounces on it. Buckeyes ball inside the 20. Byers and Cooper are the setbacks. Byers behind the left side. Harris and Mesner meet him. All season long, of course, Era, the Buckeyes have been able to take advantage of turnovers.
No, they certainly have, but Earl Bruce told me, as a matter of fact, this morning when I visited with him, that they were going to throw the ball when they got down in the inside the 20, but that is the 9th time that they have run on first down situations. They have yet to throw it on first down.
Well, here is 2nd and 9. Cooper getting down to the 16-yard line on that 2nd down, setting up a tough 3rd down situation for them. And the Buckeyes are falling into a tendency of running on first down. And, of course, that would play right into Gary Moeller's hands as a defensive strategist.
Be interesting to see whether or not Ohio State wants to go to the air to get the first down, go for the touchdown, or put the 6 points on the board or the next field goal, rather, to make it 6. Let's see what they do here.
Swinging to Cooper as they set the screen off the fake, and that is a first down, Ohio State. Well executed play, Era.
Excellent. The intent of that whole play as he faked off to the right and then did a whirly bird was to pull the whole defense away from the intended man he was going to throw to. Watch here. He's going to throw it to the left, spins back off, hits Byers, or Cooper rather, and they get a first down. Great execution by Karsatis.
Great block by Gilmore on the outside to open the hole. And the Buckeyes come to the line of scrimmage. Now another first down. It is 1st and goal at the 9. This time they throw. Byers complete. There are penalty flags down on both sides of the field. Rivers and Gant pushing him out of bounds near the 5-yard line, but there were penalty markers down as the play was about to begin, and then over where the reception was made.
Defense, offside. I think it was Harris, the middle guard, wasn't it?
I think so. He appeared to move
before the snap. Well, it's Hartenstein, number 66, not 50. Not 56, it's 66. He was trying to guess, jump the count, and it's a 5-yard penalty.
Hammerstein is one of the few players that they allow to freelance. And that time anticipating and looking for the seam to come through. And Byers losing his footing on that side as he goes down. And of course, it was a second effort like that that contributed to his re-injuring that foot against Minnesota. Speaking of Minnesota, the Hawkeyes are a few steps closer to Pasadena.
Well, the Michigan defense is going to be challenged here. First down at the 4-yard line.
And they will run with Cooper. And Cooper getting close to the 2-yard line. Scarcelli and Mike Mallory bringing him down. Earl Bruce with a 2nd and goal. Mallory, of course, taking the signal from the sideline. He has passed it along to his teammates, and now with the goal line defense. Schembechler watching. Here's Byers behind the right side. 2nd effort. Gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Ohio State. The return of Keith Byers. And it could not have come at a better time as far as Ohio State is concerned. Spangler to attempt the extra point. He cuts the goalposts in half.
This is only the 4th touchdown that's been scored on Michigan this year. Ohio State overloaded the right side, and you can see the power here of Byers as he stretches into the end zone. An excellent job.
Powerful blocking in front of him by George Cooper and John Hutchison, one of the tight ends, and the Buckeyes lead as a result. Era goal line power by Ohio State.
Yes, they overloaded the side. Watch Hutchison, the tight end, comes over, and then watch 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers. Cooper leads through here. Hutchison blocks here, and all these men lead into the end zone. There goes Hutchison in motion. You'll wind up with 5 blockers. You see 5 men, Hutchison leading, Cooper right through the hole with a block, and of course Byers right behind him. Overload offensively by formation. Excellent call by Ohio State.
Michigan with 8 minutes and 41 seconds left here in the first half, trailing by 7 points. Spangler to kick it off for the Buckeyes. Aaron, talking to the Ohio State coaches, you and I were both struck about their optimism offensively. Yes, they came in here feeling they could do something.
Right, they felt that they could get into the end zone. Well, maybe they'd watched Byers all week. I don't know. Felt that he was back.
Line drive. Kolesar lets it bounce through the end zone. On the touchback, it'll come out to the 20. Let's get an update on the Hawkeyes. Let's go to New York. Here's Pat Hayden.
All right, Brent, Ronnie Harmon is on the Iowa sideline with a minor injury, but his brother Kevin takes up the slack. 11 yards out. Iowa's up now 24-3. Hayden Fry and the Hawkeyes will be in my backyard on January 1st, the Rose Bowl. Let's go back to Brent Nera.
Backyard indeed, where they probably will be playing UCLA, although Pat's former team may have something to say about that because the Bruins still have to beat USC. And that is never easy regardless of the one-loss records. Bob Perriman is in at fullback for the Wolverines. And this is White, who is now a tailback. There's the new play that Bo Schembechler's staff put in for this game.
Exactly. That's what Bo was talking about yesterday. He felt that he could use the bounce play. They attack the off tackle, and then they bounce it to the outside. It looks like it's going to go off tackle. Then you'll see Perriman now just bounce it to the outside. They log in. Great blocking on the part of the Michigan line. They talked about this, and they did execute it for a first down.
So White brings it out where it is 1st and 10. The ball is at the 32. Now it's a split back formation by the Wolverines. And Harbaugh handling to White, and he steps out beyond the 35. Schembechler told us that if White had the speed of some of the other backs around the country, he would win a Heisman Trophy. He said he is that good and that reliable, and he can play both fullback and tailback in his scheme of things.
And he can do it all. He's an outstanding passer as well. And the Buckeyes have already been forewarned that when he's in that I-back, that he throws the passes from there. So they're prepared for it.
2nd and 5 for Harbaugh. This is Perriman. And he powers out to the 42-yard line. Pepper Johnson tackling him.
Getting looks like vintage Schembechler here, doesn't it? Power off tackle, bounce it to the outside, power off tackle to the short side of the field, away from where the rover is.
Well, they loosened up that Ohio State defense, as you see the measurement, the chains coming clear across the field here. And it is a first down for the Wolverines. They loosened up that Buckeye defense era by throwing frequently on first down. And now it appears that they want to come back with that traditional Michigan power.
Well, they have. They've played exceptionally well the last 2 weeks, running up scores of 48 and 49 points against Purdue and Minnesota. And they did it both with the running and the passing. Harbaugh has been hot.
Lots of time in the first half. 7 minutes. Here's White getting to the outside, bouncing again, and he is met by Gordon.
Boy, good tackle by Gordon that time. Good support. Strong safety coming up. That's classic tackle in there. Great job.
Buckeye defense getting ready for what Harbaugh will come up with here. 2nd and 7. Colasar, the talented freshman, is split to the right. Straight down the middle to Caddis. He's all alone inside the 20. What a beautiful job of looking off a target Harbaugh did that time. He forced the secondary away from Caddis, and it's a 40-yard gain.
And he rifled the ball in there. There was no time for the Ohio State defensive secondary to respond to the ball. Caddis splits the 2-deep defense. There it is. It gets there very quickly right there. No one can react to it. Here comes Terry White over to make the tackle, but it was too late.
Caddis has already caught 4 passes for 61 yards, and keep in mind that the Ohio State coaches were concerned about him coming into this game.
And Harbaugh now is 7 for 7, Brent.
With the ball at the 15, he'll throw it again. Incomplete for the first time. Terry White was the safety man closest to the ball as it bounced off the turf.
You see, Harbaugh was pointing there, saying you ran the wrong route. Somebody apparently ran the wrong route against the coverage.
Terry White is the hardest hitter in that secondary. He reminded me a few weeks ago against Iowa of one Jack Tatum while he was playing for the Buckeyes. He, of course, sat out last week's game against Wisconsin because he violated a team rule.
Didn't they play a great game, the whole secondary of Ohio State in that game, the Iowa game?
2nd and 10. Here is White trying to stretch the defense and turn it up. Short of the 10-yard line. He is brought down by Gordon and Johnson. One of the things that I have noticed about the Buckeye defense, they have not been as successful overall as Schembechler's at Michigan, but they hit as hard as any defense that we've been around.
It's a very good point, Brent. I noticed that Harbaugh came all the way to the sideline to pick up the call from Coach Schembechler. Let's see what they got on.
And they must get inside that 5 for a first down. This is 3rd and 7. Trying to avoid Lee, and he does. Harbaugh going for the first down is short of it. This will be a tough call by the coaching staff of Michigan right now.
Looks like they might be just a tad short. Again, Harbaugh getting away from the rush. Watch Lee come in. I thought he had him for sure. Lee misses. Harbaugh elects to run the ball, and it looks like it's going to be 4th down and about a half a yard.
Johnson getting back on the tackle. The play coming in for the sideline, and Schembechler will go for the first down, trailing 10-3, 4:29 in the first half. This is about a half yard to go. We've got a timeout. Michigan wants to clarify the situation, so Harbaugh, who called the timeout, comes over to meet with the coaches. We'll be right back. The pageantry in Ann Arbor. All right, Eric Parsegian, what would you do on this play?
Well, I'll tell you, I just go foot to foot with my offensive lineman, and I'd wedge it right out of there. Get the first down at the 5-yard line. But let's see what Bo does.
Well, he learned at your footsteps, so I would think that he might go to a little power football. Jim Harbaugh.
I think it was interesting that when Harbaugh called the timeout, he made sure that he looked to see what coverage and what alignment Ohio State was in. They may change it now. We'll have to watch to see. They're in the goal line look.
And less than a yard. Quarterback sneak. Harbaugh for the first down. The thrust of that middle for Bo Schembechler just paved the way for the quarterback.
Shortest distance between 2 points straight ahead. And you can see the Tabachino, number 77, snapping the ball. And Harbaugh just follows him right in and gets right off his left side for the first down. Here's another angle.
Watch Tabachino as he snaps the ball, close down right there. And with that little crease, Harbaugh dove for it, and it's 1st and goal. Here is White trying to turn upfield, and he could not. Spielman, number 36, getting up, and you could hear the pads popping when he cracked into him that time.
Harbaugh has the bootleg available to him. You always check that. He handed the ball off, then as you bootleg away from it, you see whether or not the pursuit follows the ball or checks you out. He was open that time. If Harbaugh can go with a bootleg.
There's Spielman closing in on White, who will be out of the tail in this 2nd and goal from the 5. Kolesar in motion. Here's White trying to come back inside in the middle of the Buckeye defense. Closes down quickly. Ray Holloman, one of the defensive players there.
2 good plays by the Buckeyes. Goal line defense that they're in. They've responded well to what Michigan has tried.
Jim Harbaugh is so dangerous when he's moving that you would have to think, as Jokic brings the play in from the sideline, that they would get him rolling in one direction on this sequence. This is 3rd and 4. It's very difficult to power right straight ahead here.
And Jokic is 6'8", being covered by a much shorter defender.
Harbaugh bobbles the snap, comes back, throws, touchdown, Michigan. Gerald White. reminds you of a circus act. Pat Moons to attempt the extra point. Robbins was the holder. We are tied at 10. The Wolverines move 80 yards in 11 plays.
Michigan was very fortunate that time. It appeared that Harbaugh did not get the ball cleanly. I thought he had fumbled it for a moment. See the ball go clear up in the air. He fields it himself. And he was very fortunate to get the ball, but he did find the receiver and react beautifully on the play, Brad.
And the Buckeye defense had this kind of a look. And Jim Harbaugh coming up with the ball, spotted White open right in the middle. And the Wolverines and the Buckeyes are tied at 10. We'll be right back. Back in Ann Arbor with 2:28 to go here in the first half. And Gerald White, who caught that touchdown pass on the sideline. He's a junior from Titusville, Florida. 6 foot, 222 pounds. And you can see that the Wolverines also consumed more than 6 minutes with that touchdown drive. And here is Moons, who is filling in for the suspended Mike Gillette this afternoon. And so far he has been perfect. 1 field goal on 1 attempt. He has also kicked an extra point. And now Schembechler would like to see this kickoff go deep. But it does not. Fielded by the short man. And Sullivan brings it out across the 20-yard line. Era, show us how White got so wide open.
All right, Spielman here, I think, is pulled up into this area by what he thinks. This is Perriman going. White slips right through the daylight right in here. But Spielman is the guy that thinks that the ball is going to be run by White. Watch here as Spielman comes forward. Now Perriman slips right through to the goal line. Harbaugh finds him, and look how open he is.
So White with the touchdown, and Chris Spielman remembering that moment. You can bet on that. This is 1st and 10. Vince Workman is now at tailback. They fake to him. Carsatos keeps it, and he runs close to the 30-yard line. Jim Scarcelli brings him down, but this will be 2nd and short for the Buckeyes. And Tennessee, with one eye on the Sugar Bowl, routs Kentucky and now needs only a victory against Vanderbilt. And of course they would go to the Sugar Bowl, and I'm sure that Jim Nantz and Pat Hayden will have all of those details on the Prudential College Football Report. Keith Byers is in at 2nd and 2. Here's Byers, and he is short of that 1st down. Mesner, number 60, gets off the bottom, and Mike Hammerstein, number 66, also there to take on Byers. So this will be a 3rd down and 2 for Carsatos and Ohio State.
Ohio State needs to make a 1st down here.
There's Byers diving, and I'm not sure that he got it. We'll see where the ball is spotted and what the officials come up with. Andy Moeller along with Mesner, and he did get it. So a 1st down for Ohio State with 1:11 left in the first half. Hammerstein, of course, is one of the 4 Lombardi finalists. There he is, and along with him Mike Ruth from Boston College, that nose guard. Now this is a 1st and 10. Off a play fake, Carsatos throws on 1st down, and it is complete to Lanise. Ivan Hicks, 17, had the coverage, and that is their 1st pass on a 1st down here this afternoon, and they will come quickly because they are inside of a minute. With protection, almost intercepted. Looking for Byers, and almost picked off by Billy Harris, the nose guard who had dropped off.
You tell me they don't have a variety of coverages? That's the nose man dropping out to the right flat and almost intercepted it. He was a nice youngster. We had a chance to visit with him on Thursday. from Xenia, Ohio. Let's see how he got out there. Here's Carsadas. Well, you'll see him come into your picture right here. The nose man, number 56, Harris, Billy Harris, 257 pounds, covering in the right flat.
Everett Ross, number 48, has checked in. The speed to go deep at 33 seconds. Byers is going to fake, and now he was looking to throw. He'll keep it, and he comes out beyond midfield with 25 seconds. Hicks bringing him down. It'll be an Ohio State first down, so the clock will stop while the chains are being moved.
He didn't find anyone open, and this is what Byers can do. He fakes the reverse to Smith. Now he looks for the receiver with that left hand, finds some daylight, and you think he isn't a load running with that football? Woo! Hicks really pays a price.
No, we've got a timeout here in Ann Arbor. We'll be right back. We're tied at 10. Back with 25 seconds remaining. Ohio State with the ball, and the Lombardi Award will be presented down in Houston on December 5th. And of course, we've already told you that Hammerstein of Michigan is one of the candidates, and the other, the big nose guard from Boston College, Mike Ruth. And the other two finalists, Leslie O'Neal from Oklahoma State, and from Oklahoma, Tony Casillas, a great nose guard of the Sooners. Hammerstein on the field for that Wolverine defense. Carsados having huddled with Earl Bruce and the Buckeye assistants. Delivers the play. Carter and Lanise. They are to the right side. Off a play fake. Going deep. And almost intercepted on the far side. Where's Cochran working over there against Lanise. Jeff Akers coming back. He had deep coverage on that play too, Coach.
It's amazing the versatility of this Michigan defense. They have outside linebackers running deep with fast, speedy receivers. Here's Carsadas trying to throw up the sideline. And you see the ball pop out of Cochran's hands. Should have had the interception.
Carsados is 8 of 13 for 48 yards and has already thrown one interception and could have as many as 3 here in the first half.
Exactly
Mallory
right.
on their first series appeared to have one, which did hit the carpet first, according to the officials, and now Cochran can't get the handle. On second down, drops it to Cooper. Cooper down to the 43 with time stopped at the 8-second mark. Jim Scarselli tackling him, and Earl Bruce and the Buckeyes. Boy, there's a stern-looking Bruce over there, isn't he?
Yeah,
Well, we've got a little break here in the action, so let's take a look at the Ohio State campus. In the Big Ten, all the schools.
As the Big Ten Conference enters its 90th season of football competition, that rare combination of commitment to academic excellence and success on the playing field continues. Big Ten football is exciting, competitive, and entertaining, as evidenced by the continuous record-setting attendance figures posted year after year. But it's more than just the thrills and glory on the field. It's a weekend of bands, cheering crowds, color and pageantry, which makes Big Ten football such a happening. The conference also excels in many other sports, including men's basketball, which always ranks among the nation's best, and ever-improving women's basketball, as well as strong support programs like hockey and wrestling, which have been dominated by Big Ten teams on a national level in recent years. But it's the nationally renowned academic reputation which distinguishes Big Ten universities, where tomorrow's leaders in research, technology, and higher education are ready to meet today's challenges.
Back for the final 8 seconds here of the first half. And of course, at halftime, Jim Nantz and Pat Hayden will update you on everything that is going on across the land on this one of the final Saturdays of college football as we get down close to the bowls. And I'm sure they'll have the latest information on who is going where. Here, Ohio State needs a win to get to the Cotton Bowl, and I'm sure that Pat Dye and Auburn watching this carefully, because if the Buckeyes lose, then Auburn will be coming to Dallas. Garzanos, incomplete. Tony Gant defending on the play. Down to the final 4 seconds here in the first half. Now Spangler has already kicked a 48-yarder here this afternoon.
It's going to take about 61 yards here. Let's see. He does have a following wind, so they must have some kind of confidence he's got a chance at it. This will be a great kick if he makes it. There it is.
Missing, but not by that much.
That's right.
So we've come to the half. Tied at 10, and the Buckeyes struck first as far as the touchdowns were concerned in this game. Take a look at how they got on the board. With Hutchison in motion, they sent big Keith Byers in behind him. The crease opened and he dove in, but then the Wolverines came right back. They drove 80 yards with Jim Harbaugh bobbling the snap, pulling it down, and Gerald White, number 22, coming clean in the end zone. And that knotted the score after the extra point. And we go to the half, deadlocked at 10. Typical Michigan, Ohio State. Raiders with Pat O'Brien. Pat?
All right, Brent, thank you. Brent was just saying you remember these wars. How did you prepare for this kind of a game?
We prepared all year long for this kind of a game. This is what people come to Ohio State for, to play against Michigan.
You were saying you prepared for the noise in this stadium as well.
Yes, we used to put a lot of noise over our loudspeakers in our stadium and run our plays with the loudspeakers going.
Archie Griffin, of course, has two of the greatest bookends in football history. He's got 2 Heisman trophies. Who do you like this year for the Heisman?
Well, I think it's going to be a toss-up between Bo Jackson and Chuck Long, but don't be surprised if a sleeper pops up in Lorenzo White of Michigan State.
All right. How about the second half here, Archie? Who do you like? I know who you like, but what do you think of the second half?
Well, I think it's going to be a hard-fought second half, just like the first half was. I think both teams are going to have to loosen up a little bit. They both played very tight.
All right. Archie, thank you very much. The greatest running back ever to put on a Buckeye uniform. Brent, back to you.
Thank you, Pat. And Jim Carsados with the spotlight squarely on him.
Wars. How did you prepare for this kind of a game?
We prepared all year long for this kind of a game. This is what people come to Ohio State for, to play against Michigan.
You were saying you prepared for the noise in this stadium as well.
Yes, we used to put a lot of noise over our loudspeakers in our stadium and run our plays with the loudspeakers going.
Archie Griffin, of course, has 2 of the greatest bookends in football history. He's got 2 Heisman trophies. Who do you like this year for the Heisman?
Well, I think it's going to be a toss-up between Bo Jackson and Chuck Long, but don't be surprised if a sleeper pops up in Lorenzo White of Michigan State.
All right. How about the second half here, Archie? Who do you like? I know who you like, but what do you think of the second half?
Well, I think it's going to be a hard-fought second half, just like the first half was. I think both teams are going to have to loosen up a little bit. They both played very tight.
All right. Archie, thank you very much. The greatest running back ever to put on a Buckeye uniform. Brent, back to you.
Thank you, Pat. And Jim Carsados with the spotlight squarely on him, loosening up over there on the sidelines. Rich Spangler, who hit that 48-yard field goal and missed a 61-yarder, but not by that much. With the breeze gusting a bit here in Michigan Stadium, it was blowing right to left pretty much in the first half, and now it seems to have turned around a little bit. The second half is underway. Jamie Morris at the 4 for Michigan. And Leach rides him down at the 25-yard line. So, of course, tomorrow we're going to find out if the Chicago Bears can stay unbeaten. And also, we will start at 12:30 Eastern Time. The NFL Today. We'll hear from Joe Theismann live out of Washington. Find out how he came out of surgery after that awful injury. Roger Staubach live from Dallas. And then we'll take a look at Bear Mania before they take the field against the Atlanta Falcons. And many of you also see the Redskins go up against Pittsburgh. And then our doubleheader game, the key one, Philadelphia and Dallas. Can the Cowboys come back? We'll find out tomorrow. 1st and 10. From the I formation, they run Gerald White and Ray Holloman, number 55, making the stop as we start the second half. It was a tremendous ball control drive that Bo Schembechler and the Wolverines used there in that second quarter against Ohio State.
It was vintage Bo Schembechler coach teams. They power off tackle, the power inside, and they managed to maintain possession of the ball, and it was a very impressive drive, although right here they're facing a second down about 9.
Jimmy Harbaugh bringing the Wolverines up to the line. Play fake to White. Harbaugh to run. Slips down wisely at the 30. This will be 3rd and long. Well, what does the state of Florida mean to Michigan? Well, that right foot belongs to one Pat Moons, and so far Florida has given Michigan all its points. Both Moons and White are out of that state. 3rd and 5 for Harbaugh. Jokic getting ready to come from the right side. Over the middle and complete to the tight end, Caddis. He picks up where he left off. Another 17-yard gain by Caddis.
And also an excellent throw by Harbaugh. Caddis driving. You see here Lee's trying to stay with him, number 82, man-to-man, but he cannot. Caddis breaks away from him, and Harbaugh puts it right there.
Caddis from Cincinnati, Ohio, has now caught 5 passes for 78 yards, and Terry White brought him down at the 47-yard line. They run Perriman on 1st down, and he blasts through. Close to another 1st down. Rogan and Johnson bringing the fullback down.
Vitale, number 67, pulls. Look at the beautiful hole they blocked right at the point of attack. Let's take a look at that hole from another angle. Watch the blocking here by the right side of the line. And the backside guard, Vitale, come across number 66 right here, 67 rather. And there you go with Perriman, number 37, through that hole.
2nd and short. Michigan can put it up here if they want. And they will. Throws high but complete. And the 1st down, and Gerald White slipping out of that backfield was a safety valve. Notre Dame loses again. LSU beats them 10-7. And Yale beats Harvard 17-6. Here it is 1st and 10. Ball is at the 38-yard line. Slot left. Movement, but the Buckeye got back, and here's White. He has a seam. Coming out of bounds at the 31-yard line, and again it is Johnson and White being forced to make the tackle.
Brent, this is a very similar drive to the one that Michigan had in the 1st half, starting at their own 20-yard line and grinding the ball with good blocking by the offensive line.
The thing that makes it so difficult for that Buckeye defense is the fact that Harbaugh is a dangerous passer. They cannot be thinking just off-tackle run by this Wolverine attack.
They've put good pressure on Harbaugh, but he has scrambled out.
He is 10 of 11 here this afternoon for 109 yards. This time they'll run White. Turns upfield for a 1st down. Kolick, number 33, tackling him there.
You see Bo Schembechler talking to Harbaugh there. He may want something special here.
We are looking at a football team that is only 3 points away from having an unbeaten season. They tied Illinois, of course, but another field goal would have given them the win over Iowa. And here they run White to the 25-yard line. Johnson and Kolick tackling him right there. So this will be second and long, Coach.
They've been forced into this second and long a number of times, and that's exactly what Ohio State wanted to force Michigan into. But Harbaugh, when he's been caught in that kind of a situation, has managed to find receivers open after scrambling and maintain possession of the ball, and then they start grinding again.
Caddis is lined up to the left. Throwing high out of bounds. Jokic is tall, but he ain't that tall.
No. He couldn't find anyone open. He threw it in the general direction of Jokic, but even at 6'8", he wasn't going to get it.
I apologize to all the English professors from Michigan and Ohio State who were listening. This is 3rd down and 9. Harbaugh straight back. Over the middle to Jokic, who is slapped down at the 20-yard line. Byron Lee meeting him there.
Here's another look at this pass reception, but unfortunately for the Wolverines, it comes up short of the first down. You see him crossing right over the middle right there. Jokic catches the ball, but it's way short of the first down by about 3 yards.
Moons with his second field goal attempt. Robbins puts it down at the 28, and the 38-yard field goal is on its way, and it's good. Making the most of an opportunity. Now Moon's second field goal puts the Wolverines up by 3. Keith Byers and the Buckeyes will be right back. Michigan leading Ohio State by 3, and certainly, Errol, we want to send along our congratulations to Hayden Fry and the whole Iowa team as the Hawkeyes win the Big Ten championship 31-9 over Minnesota this afternoon, and so the Hawkeyes go to Pasadena and the Rose Bowl. Michigan will be headed to the Fiesta Bowl down in Tempe. The Buckeyes must win here this afternoon to get a berth in the Cotton Bowl. If Michigan wins this game, then the Buckeyes will go to the Citrus Bowl, and Auburn and Bo Jackson will head for Dallas. And it is very likely that Jackson will bring along his Heisman Trophy for that confrontation. In the Southwest Conference, of course, Baylor, Texas, and Texas A&M still with a chance. Here is Moons, who is the man of the moment in Michigan. Woolridge has it bounce off him. Free ball alertly picked up by Workman, who gets out of bounds. Oh, did Workman save?
Workman uses good judgment here. He's just a freshman. Number 42. Watch him step in. Right after this bobbled ball, you'll see him come from the right. Woolridge fumbled it. Workman grabs it and steps out of bounds. Even though it's bad field position, he saved it from Michigan recovering the ball.
The ball at the 7-yard line. I formation. Carsados trying to be heard above the din, and there's movement in the offensive line. Rory Graves jumped across. Carsados may have been changing the call at the line, or Graves simply could not hear him, Era, because it was very loud down at that end.
Didn't Bo say something about the crowd wouldn't bother the opposition? Look at here. This is definitely, I think, you see that Carsados was trying to call an audible, but the noise Buckeyes. But I think the crowd noise had a definite effect there, don't you, Brent?
Absolutely. The crowd noise was affecting Carsados, you could tell, as he was yelling back and forth.
Did you notice that Mark Messner continued on, number 60, to put Carsados down in the end zone for a safety, and the official reprimanded him for doing so because the whistle had blown.
So referee Tom Quinn measures off half the distance. 1st and 13. The ball is at the 4. And now Quinn stops the action. Earl Bruce and the Buckeyes will wait for a little quiet here in this situation.
Carsados turned to the referee Quinn. Quinn gave him the discretionary timeout, and certainly we have seen this in virtually every Big Ten game that we have done, and we've done many this fall. This has been a big issue, a controversial issue, because of the interpretation of the rule during the course of mid-year.
Nate Harris brings in the play from the Ohio State sideline. He replaces Mike Lanise. George Cooper and Keith Byers. They are set behind Carsados. Uera will just wait now until things quiet down.
The Michigan players were trying to get the fans to quiet down.
Byers out across the 10-yard line. Well, here this afternoon, before 106,000 moons, with a 34-yard field goal, put Michigan on the scoreboard first. Then it was Spangler's turn, a 48-yard field goal. We were tied at 3. The first touchdown, and Ohio State scored it. Keith Byers from 2 yards out. But then Michigan drove 80 yards, and Harbaugh went to White, and it was deadlocked. And a short time ago, Moon's second field goal put the Wolverines up by 3. This is 2nd and 12. Carsados will throw from his own end zone. Now he'll run out of it. And he dives down at the 15-yard line with Moeller closing in on him.
And he got himself out of dangerous field position. At least they have some kicking room. He used good judgment. He did not find anybody open. This is a great shot from the end zone right here, where you can see Carsados' view. Cannot find an open receiver. The guy's able to scramble out and take the ball out to the 15-yard line. And at least if they have to punt, if they don't make the first down, they're not as in bad as field position as they were.
Carsados trying to be heard again, especially to the wide receivers. Keeping the ball, and he may be short. It's going to be very close. Jeff Akers, 33, stepped into the gap. They are not going to get it. The punting team is coming on the field for the Buckeyes.
There seemed to be a mix-up in the backfield that time. Carsados wanted to run the option, and it seemed as if the timing was completely off.
Tom Tupa, bothered somewhat by an injured back the last few weeks. He'll hit this at about the 5-yard line. Tony Gant is the deep man. Under pressure, he just does get one off. It takes an Ohio State roll. A 48-yard punt. David Arnold, one of their designated blockers, comes in on Tupa and is so close to blocking this. But Tupa does get it off. And Arnold misses by inches. We'll be right back in Ann Arbor. The state up north plays the state down south. The governors are always here. Let's go to Pat O'Brien. Pat.
All right, Brent, thank you. Kind of a political summit here going on with these neighboring states. Jim Blanchard here from Michigan, and Dick Celeste from Ohio. What did you guys bet on this game today?
We're going to trade our problems for a day, depending on who wins and who loses.
But no wager, huh?
No, we're not for gambling, but we are for fun. So that's what we're having today.
Who's running the states today?
Well, actually, I think that all of Ohio's up here because we have 27 players on the Michigan team who come from the state of Ohio.
Governor Blanchard, you have sort of a political dilemma. You're from Michigan State.
That's right, but I'm wearing the maize and blue today because they're playing Ohio State. We not only expect a victory, but we are receiving a lot of revenue from the people of Ohio. We want to thank the governor for that.
All right, let's go back to Brent quickly.
All right, Pat, thank you. Perriman turns the corner, and he's busted out of bounds at the 44 by Pepper Johnson. This is an important defensive sequence by the Buckeyes, Errol.
It really is, and they have given yardage, both passing and running, in the last couple of drives. They're going to have to tighten up that defense.
2nd and 3. Errol, they have been able to bounce and even slant offside.
The basic thing that Bo was talking about yesterday, the bounce play, come to the off-tackle play, and then slide to the outside. And that's what Perriman did on that last play.
And they've been coming up with 2nd and short like this. White, he's free into the 45-yard line.
It's just a reverse pivot handoff. Watch Harbaugh reverse pivot. And right there, he gives the ball to White. Look at him read the daylight. Great block there by Clay Miller, I believe it was. Number 72, John Elliott. I'm sorry, it was a quick tackle.
They are both excellent tackles. Elliott and Miller do a superb job for the Wolverines. One of them from Long Island. That's Elliott. Miller's out of Oklahoma. Harbaugh keeping it on the option, and he is cut off that time by you-know-who, number 36, Chris Spielman. Well, they are celebrating in Iowa City. Let's go get an update from Pat Hayden.
All right, Brent, it sounds like the crowd is involved in Ann Arbor, but this was a scene moments ago in Iowa City. A lot of these folks will be in Pasadena January 1st, rooting the Hawkeyes on. By the way, Rodney Harmon bruised his shoulder and never returned. Also, Brent, Texas leads Baylor 17-10 with less than 2 minutes left. Let's go back to Brent Nera.
Thank you. Texas needs that one to get into a confrontation with Texas A&M if the Aggies can beat TCU. That game is on Thanksgiving Day. Well, the reason we have a stoppage of play is that Lee of the Buckeyes was shaken up. He's fine, being helped to the sideline. He'll miss at least a play, and we'll be back. Back in Ann Arbor, I'm Brent Musburger along with Ara Parseghian. 7 minutes and 18 seconds to go in quarter number 3. Michigan leading Ohio State by 3. Harbaugh to throw it. Runs away from the pressure. And he is down at the 42-yard line with Gordon in hot pursuit. And the Buckeye Rover has been roving all over the artificial surface here this afternoon. For Gordon and the Buckeyes to play on New Year's Day, they must come back here and win this, and then they will have an appointment in Dallas. If not, it will be Pat Dye, Bo Jackson, and the Auburn Eagles who will be in there. And our game will kick off 1:30 Eastern Time on CBS, the 50th Cotton Bowl Classic. Darrell Lee has returned for Ohio State. 3rd and 7. Colasar inside the 30-yard line, and that's a first down for Michigan. William White with the tackle, and the freshman receiver picks up 13 more yards. And again, Harbaugh has been so impressive.
Under pressure, he threw a beautiful strike. Well, he's made a big difference in this Michigan Wolverine football team, a team that was 6-6. Last year, they lost Harbaugh in the Michigan State game with a broken arm, and now he's back, and he's done a remarkable job. Here's the throw. Watch here as he gets pressure just as he throws the ball. And Colasar, right here on the sideline, has run a beautiful route to the outside. And, of course, it's a first down.
He is 12 of 14 for those 127 yards, and the touchdown pass to Gerald White. And Darrell Lee, again shaken up, is being helped off to the Ohio State sideline. And so Alex Higdon and Fred Ritter, who have been operating in that spot, have been taking turns when Lee is shaken up. And this time, Ritter will come off the sideline, and he will play against Schembechler and the Wolverines. Michigan inside the 30. A year ago, they were beaten resoundingly in Columbus. But here in their home setting, and it's an awesome one indeed, they are in command. Harbaugh And Spielman is there with Holloman coming in underneath.
Boy, that Spielman is really something. He can really tackle. He just stopped him dead in his tracks and took him to the side. He's a football player, that guy. Let's take a look at it here from the ground level. You'll watch Spielman come in and take White, who's about 215, 20 pounds right there, and just drive him back down. He's a player.
2nd and 7. Kolesar and Jokic are to the left side. Caddis is to the right. Harbaugh runs straight ahead, and the Buckeyes penetrated quickly that time and would not let him get back as Pepper Johnson, 98, led the penetration. Oklahoma with 2 first-quarter touchdowns. Oh, they got to be happy down there in Norman. Trying to get a berth in the Orange Bowl against Penn State. This is 3rd and 9. Harbaugh looking for Kolesar. He's got him. First down, Michigan. 13 yards to the freshman wide receiver.
That's a great job again by Harbaugh and Kolesar. Watch Kolesar drive off, and Harbaugh picks up the single coverage, but the coverage is too soft. Puts a move on him, turns to the outside, and you see him break in the, and the ball is right there by Harbaugh. William White was too deep on the coverage. But the thing about it, Brent, is Harbaugh picked up the single coverage right now and went to him.
1st and 10 at the 15. Here is Perryman up the middle, and he explodes inside the 10-yard line. Schembechler keeping them honest with the fullback that time. Now watch the blocking and watch Perryman. Did you see the Buckeye defense take that step to the right? They froze them, and Perryman came back, and he took the ball inside the 10-yard line, where it'll be 2nd and 3. Ever since that long drive in the 2nd quarter, Michigan has dominated this game offensively. This will be White. He's inside the 5-yard line, and that should be another first down for the Wolverines.
It's the plain isolation play over the left side with the fullback leading. Put a good block on the linebacker. You can see the concern there. Earl Bruce. He certainly doesn't like what's happening. This fella does.
Double tight end formation with this 1st and goal from the 4. Bo getting the information from above in the press box. Kolesar comes in motion. They'll run in that direction with White. He tries to bounce outside, and he cannot. Bo upset about that play. Derek Eisenman helping out on this tackle.
There it is. They just couldn't get the blocking at the point of attack. He tries to bounce it a little to the outside. And it was good defensive work in there.
Bo had to be upset with Kolesar. Kolesar froze standing up, and the play was still going on. And this Eisenman, number 61, has played so well the last 2 weeks. Now, it is 2nd and goal from the 5. Harbaugh. Touchdown, Eric Caddis. So Eric Caddis has now caught 6 passes for 83 yards, and this one the most important of them all.
And how about Harbaugh rolling out and under pressure, finding the receiver and delivering on target? Harbaugh's having quite an afternoon.
Moons delivers the extra point. State must now dig uphill.
Take a look at it from the end zone. Caddis will be in the left corner, but Harbaugh rolls outside to contain. Eisenman keeps challenging the line of scrimmage, which brings a response. And look at the people when he threw the ball between. Great job by Harbaugh.
Watch Caddis, number 81. He slips through. They didn't seal him up at the line of scrimmage. Now as Harbaugh moves, Caddis cuts back toward the middle. And Harbaugh finds him wide open in the back of the end zone. Michigan's in command. Well, right now with Ohio State losing, it looks like Auburn going to the Cotton Bowl as you see the young man who caught that touchdown pass. But the Southwest Conference still to be heard from, and the Texas Longhorns in Austin. They knock Baylor out of that race 17-10. Texas now heads into the showdown against Texas A&M on Thanksgiving. And that is in College Station. And the winner of that game, of course, goes into the Cotton Bowl against either Ohio State or Auburn. And the Buckeyes must come from behind to get into that 50th Cotton Bowl Classic at 1:30 Eastern Time on CBS. 2 minutes and 56 seconds to go in the third. And Pat Moons, who is kicking today because Mike Gillette was suspended for 1 game, is making the most of his opportunity. Everett Ross handles it. He's at the 20. Trying to get a hole, and he's smothered there at the 23-yard line. Well, they always show us how Caddis got open.
Here's Caddis at the tight end spot. You see motion by Colasar, but he'll come right into the right flat. Watch him. He'll work free in the end zone. He goes all the way to the corner. You see him releasing off. Then he'll work back slightly to his right. Right here. He'll come all the way here and then back. There he is. Now watch him slip to his right. There's the ball.
And that was the 17th touchdown pass for Harbaugh, tying Rick Leach's record back in 1978. Now it's up to Carsados to rally the Buckeyes, and he is complete to Mike Lenise. He is hit by Jeff Akers, number 33, with Jim Harbaugh watching from the sideline, and now he turns a 10-point lead over to the most efficient scoring defense in the land. They have given up only 4 touchdowns, one of them here this afternoon. And they have yielded only 19 points in the second half all year long. Hammerstein, Mallory, Moeller, Akers, Scarcelli, Harris, Cochran, Rivers, Gant, Hicks. They're as good as they come. It is 2nd down and 7. Off a play fake to Cooper. Carsados going to the sideline, incomplete. He wanted Carter, and all over Carter. The far sideline. Scarcelli had the coverage that time. And now let's go back to New York for an update from Pat Hayden.
All right, Brent, you mentioned that Texas score a moment ago. Here was Baylor's last play, 4th and 5, 30 seconds left, incomplete pass by Cody Carlson. Remember, Baylor has not beaten Texas in Austin since 1951. We'll be watching Thanksgiving Day. Let's go back to Brent Nero.
And here is a 3rd and 7 that the Buckeyes badly need to convert. Diving for the ball was the tight end Taggart, but it hit the artificial turf, incomplete.
Look at the response of that Michigan defense. You talk about unity, desire, and determination. They are motivated.
Oklahoma with that lead in the first quarter over Nebraska, 14-0. Now it is 4th down, and here is Tupa. He will be punting. They send back a very sure-handed deep man. Tony Gant, number 14, is standing at the 30-yard line. The one thing Michigan does not want now is a fumble. They would settle for just any old kind of fair catch in this situation. They're not looking for a hero. Tupa with trouble gets it off. And it takes a bounce for Ohio State. So Tupa has been living dangerously on the last 2 punts. but this one a 46-yarder. Well, the Ohio State campus down in Columbus. Let's take a look at it while we've got this opportunity. I'll bet they are much quieter on that campus than they are on this one right now. With a 10-point lead, Earl Bruce trying to dig up, because the last 3 times Michigan has had possessions, they have scored. Touchdown, that was in the second quarter. They took 6 minutes. Then, here in the second half, a field goal and a touchdown. Those 2 drives have consumed 9 minutes. And Jim Harbaugh hands off to White, who hurdles across and is tackled by Fred Ritter, number 90.
And in this third quarter, with 1:36 left to go, Ohio State has made 15 total yards, while Michigan has over 120.
Second down and 8. Jimmy Harbaugh, so impressive here this afternoon. Doesn't receive the attention of an Everett or a Long or even a Trudeau, for that matter. Going to run, being cut off and downed at the 30-yard line. So the Buckeyes did not give him too much daylight, and again it was Derek Eisenman along with Spielman. Eisenman's an impressive linebacker, Aaron.
We've seen, this is the 3rd time we've seen him, and he comes into the ball game, he becomes involved. He gets around the ball. He's a good football player. Just a freshman, and he's going to be around a while.
Well, here is 3rd and 7, and an opportunity for Ohio State to finally shut down this offense. Safety valve is White, and he's got it for a first down.
Brent, that makes Harbaugh 8 for 8 on 3rd down situations.
His father, of course, the football coach at Western Michigan. His father was on the coaching staff out at Stanford for a time. And Jimmy Harbaugh went to the same quarterbacking camp as Jim Carsados did. Carsados was out of the Fullerton area. And one of the teachers out there was a quarterback by the name of John Elway. And if John is watching right now, he should know better than most that his student is doing a great job for the Wolverines. We've come to the end of the 3rd quarter. Michigan leads Ohio State by 10. First and 10 for Jimmy Harbaugh and the Wolverines, who lead by 10 as we start the final quarter. And here is White right straight ahead, and there was number 36, Mr. Spielman. Now, the Toyota Leadership Award is presented weekly to a team member who's been singled out by his athletic department for his team contributions, grades, and citizenship. And today's winners are Pepper Johnson of Ohio State and Brad Cochran of Michigan. Toyota will donate $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund. 2nd and 7. And Jim Harbaugh uses one of his 3 timeouts. He took a look at that Buckeye defense, did not like what he saw, and he will come over to the sidelines and confer with Schembechler.
It's kind of an unusual situation. It was 2nd down and 8 that he would waste the first down or timeout. Must have been something important or something he really didn't like that they had called.
We've got a timeout here in Ann Arbor. Michigan leading Ohio State. Jim Carsados can only wait on the sideline. We'll be right back. This is 2nd and 7 for Michigan. 14 minutes and 23 seconds to go. Michigan leading Ohio State by 10 points. Colasar in motion. Here's the pitch to White. White stretches the defense and then gets the corner turn before White can pounce on him over there, but a superb bit of running, and I think Ohio State was thinking he might just throw the option pass that time.
Brent, that really was a broken play. Half the team blocked to the left, the fullback went left, and a couple of them went to the right. They wind up making yardage on it.
It's that kind of day for Michigan, Coach.
That's right. Everything is right for him.
No, this is 3rd down and a long yard, so they go to the double tight end formation. And Harbaugh to throw out of it. Straight down the middle for Kolesar, overthrows him. That was an unusual call.
It really was. They were going
That
for
was the strangest call of the day.
I think they anticipated the possibility that they would be in man-to-man coverage coming up to try to stop the play, and the coverage was excellent. They faked the off-tackle play in hopes that the defender will respond, but no, they were back there in good coverage on Kolesar.
Monty Robbins. He will punt for Michigan. Standing at the 33. The Buckeyes set a return. Mike Lanise faked the fair catch. The ball bounces into the end zone. So it'll come back on the 20-yard line, a touchback, a 52-yard punt. When you come back, the Buckeyes will have the ball and 13-22. 13-22 to go, 2010. Michigan leading Ohio State. And the Buckeyes come up, and they have been dominated by this Michigan defense here in the second half. Off a play fake. Carsados to Carter, complete. A first down. The tackle by Doug Mallory after a 19-yard gain, and that's the play they must keep coming up with.
Carter does a great job of getting behind the linebackers. The linebackers are chasing the underneath coverage, and then, of course, he comes right into the seam in front of the deep defenders, an area that I think Michigan is vulnerable depending on the coverage that they're in. But we may see more of that on this drive.
Good performance by the offensive line that time, Ara. Michigan did not have that great pressure on Carsados. Here it comes this time. Mesner, but he drops it to Byers. Byers is out to midfield, and a first down, and 8 Wolverines surround Keith Byers, who is a little slow in getting up there, but he's fine after a 13-yard gain. Give you an idea of how that third quarter went. And it is a Michigan player who is down. That is Brad Cochran, their All-American cornerback, who is injured. And that is a big injury. There are the numbers, Coach.
Well, look at that possession time. That doesn't, this 3 minutes and 37 seconds doesn't give guys like Keith Byers and Chris Carter and Lanise much of a chance. Possession of 11-13 is really significant. And then look at the total yards, 15 yards to 134. What a Michigan quarter.
Era Brad Cochran is one of the best cornerbacks in the land. He is so good that opponents seldom throw at him. We don't mention his name because they don't go in that direction. He is being helped off. Now watch number 30 here in this pile. There are about 8 Wolverines, and this is Cochran. Watch what happens to him in this pileup. You can see that he is landed on right there by Bob Maggs, the center, number 71. He injured his leg, so he is being helped off right now. And Greg Randall, number 10, comes into that cornerback, and you can expect Ohio State to quickly go over there and test him. They're looking right at him. Carsados, and oh, he cannot hold on. It's incomplete. Lanise almost came up with a catch that was remarkably similar to a year ago. It didn't take him long to go at Cochran's replacement.
It sure didn't. They went right after Greg Randall, number 10, coming in. 6'1", 183, a senior. He runs a quick out pattern here. Then he comes up, Randall, to respond. It would have been a great catch. I didn't realize that he had to dive so far. It was a great effort by Lanise.
Incomplete, and this will be 2nd and 10. 12:31 to go. They will take Lanise over to Randall's side again, but now Mallory moves over like they might be doubling. Now Mallory cheats in. He'll back up. They're trying to bait Carsados. He comes to the screen to Cooper and overthrows him.
That ball go right through Cooper's hands, I think, Brent. Or was it over his head?
It was a little bit high. It may have been catchable. Take a look at it and see what you think here, Coach.
Yeah, let's take a look and see how high it is. Oh,
he should have had it.
Yeah, he should have. That's 2 in a row now that they could have had. Lanise almost made the catch. Cooper should have had it, and he had a beautiful wall set up in front of him for big yardage. You got to catch the football.
3rd and 10. The ball is at the 49. Carsano straight back. He'll run. Now he throws it to Taggart. It's a first down. Ball to the 31-yard line. And Cochran, who sat out 2 plays, comes up to make the tackle after a 17-yard gain. So it did not take Cochran long to get back in.
Excuse me. Michigan just puts on a 3-man rush, and they almost get right there to Carsanis. Carsanis does a great job of hitting Taggart just as he's going down.
Ball is on the 31. 12 minutes. Ohio State trailing by 10. Here's Keith Byers, and there's no hole there. Harris, the nose guard, led the assault against Byers that time. $106,000, the 4th largest crowd in the history of Michigan Stadium. And that is the largest crowd of this year, and only 53 behind the NCAA record, which was here versus Ohio State in 1979. This is 2nd and 11. Incomplete. And Keith Byers was wide open underneath. He didn't see Byers, who had worked in underneath. Instead, he tried to stretch it out and go longer to Chris Carter, and Byers, in frustration, just beat his hands against the artificial turf. Now watch Byers, number 41, slip out of the backfield. Underneath, he's wide open, and you can see the ball went over his head and was short of Carter.
Going back to the attendance thing just for a moment, if I may, Brent, Don Canham told me today that every ticket for every home game has been sold out before. There are no tickets available at all. That's 105,000, 106,000 people.
It's 3rd and 11. Carsanos trying to get away from pressure, and closing in is Mesner. Number 60, Mark Mesner, from behind, tackles Carsanos at the 35-yard line.
Brent, every receiver is covered. Every one of these receivers as they go down are covered. Carsanos keeps looking for someone to be open. There's a man covering it, and of course, ultimately Mesner. You can see here, every one of the receivers here are covered.
Now it is 4th and 15. The ball is at the 35-yard line. Ohio State elects to go for the first down. They trail by 10. They need 2 scores. Carsanos pulls out. Down the middle for Carter. He's got a touchdown, Ohio State. It was 4th and 15, and Carsanos goes 36 yards where Carter makes a circus catch. Spangler to attempt the extra point. Ohio State trails by a field goal.
Here it is from the end zone. Karsatos gets enough time to get the ball to Chris Carter. He steps up into the pocket. A beautiful throw. Watch Carter jump and get the ball, and he's in the end zone for a touchdown. A marvelous throw by Karsatos.
Chris Carter, number 2. He's out of Middletown, Ohio. He's a 6'3" sophomore with a world of athletic ability. His brother plays on the New York Knicks, but he never soared any higher here than Chris does for this Ohio State touchdown.
Here's Carter. He breaks to the inside, goes all the way down, and watch him turn to the inside. Karsatos was the key here. He had enough time. Now watch him go up and out-jump the defender, who is Doug Mallory.
And that is 16 career touchdowns by Carter, only a sophomore. He has tied the Buckeye record. We'll be right back. There he is, one of the finest young athletes in the Big Ten, Chris Carter. And on 4th and 15, he has given the Buckeyes fresh life here in Ann Arbor. Watch him slip past Akers, and now he is picked up by Mallory, number 8. And it is simply Carter going up higher than Mallory, pulling the ball down and getting into the end zone. It's a 3-point difference right now with 10 minutes and 10 seconds to go, Coach.
And also that 17 points on the board by the Buckeyes represents more points than any other team on Michigan's schedule.
Jim Karsatos with the 4th down play that paid off. Starting his first Michigan game. Not amazing, we've got 2 quarterbacks here, Harbaugh and Karsatos, and neither of them had ever started an Ohio State-Michigan game. Spangler. There is John Colasar awaiting the kickoff. Drives it deep into the end zone. It'll come out as a touchback. Jamie Morris fielding it in the end zone. And of course, our excitement just starting, and tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern Time, we'll hear from Roger Staubach, Joe Theismann on his injury, how he's coming along, and of course, Bear Mania, the city of Chicago. I know right now the city of Chicago is watching this one wind down. They are very close, especially to the Michigan Wolverines. An awful lot of their talent through the years has come out of that Chicago area. And a doubleheader game tomorrow, Philadelphia against Dallas. Like you, I'm interested in whether or not the Cowboys can come back after that embarrassment. Here it is, Michigan. 10 minutes and 10 seconds to go. 1st and 10. And they run off right tackle. Gerald White, the tailback, and Ray Holloman met him. And Eric, could you hear those pads slapping in that mic we've got down on the field?
There's a little hitting going on, but Ohio State's taking some chances here to shut that running game down. They guessed it was going to be a run. Both linebackers fired in there, and they kept that from being any kind of a big gainer.
Now they have substituted Jamie Morris, and they have taken White out. And let's try to give you an idea of the intensity down there on 2nd and 7. Rover on the blitz. He's open. Colasar. He'll go the distance. They won't catch him. To attempt the extra point after that 77-yard lightning bolt. 10.
You think Schembechler will play conservative? Here comes the bomb. Harbaugh throws a perfect strike to Kolesar. 77 yards. He beats number 37, William White, one-on-one. White cannot catch him. Kolesar, a freshman, scores a big score for the Wolverines.
A freshman from Westlake, Ohio. A young man the Buckeyes tried to recruit but failed. And oh, how they lament that failure right now. The second longest pass play in Michigan history. 77 yards, Harbaugh to Kolesar, the freshman. The longest, that was Leach to Jim Smith, 1975. 83 yards with that one. Now it'll be Moons kicking off. Ross and Workman are set deep for the Buckeyes. They've got 9:19 to work with. Workman at the 3. Short of the 20-yard line. That specialty team of the Wolverines swarms all over him. Doug Mallory, Ivan Hicks, both of them out there.
Here's another look at it. This came so close to being a sack. Number 7 right there almost gets to Harbaugh. The difference between a 10-yard loss and a 77-yard gain as you see Kolesar gather the ball in.
Well, they gambled and lost as Sonny Gordon came blitzing, leaving Kolesar with all that speed one-on-one. Carsato's turn. To Byers. Byers battling his way to the 26-yard line with those two splendid inside linebackers. Mallory and Moeller gang up on him. And the clock runs down inside of 9 minutes. 27-17. Michigan over Ohio State. Byers certainly is into this one, isn't he? Taggart bringing the play. No, that is Harris who actually had the play. Taggart entered the game with him, and the Buckeyes hoping some unity will help them out. Dropping toward Taggart, almost intercepted. Andy Moeller had it in his hands and couldn't hold on.
Looked like Carsatos was hurt there for a minute, but I guess he's all right.
Take a look at the nose guard, Harris, in this situation. Carsatos off the play fake, pulls back out. Now Harris had dropped out, and he deflected the ball. And Moeller dove for it, had it for an instance, but it would have been a great catch. You can't blame yourself over that one.
Great defensive effort. Right there. Almost had it.
3rd and 2. Split backs. Buckeyes need a first down. Carsatos off the bootleg. Still moving out beyond the 40. And he is finally tackled down there by Hicks. And getting up slowly that time was Byers, coach.
Yeah, he laid on the ground there a considerable amount of time. I wasn't sure whether it was Keith or not. I could not see his number, but he seems to be okay.
Coming back into that huddle. 8:19 left.
That was a great bootleg by Carsatos. It fooled the Wolverines completely. No one was there. He found leverage at that corner there and picked up a first down, and it was a big one.
Tony Gant, number 14, is in at the other safety, and Mallory is out. So Gant and Hicks are now the safeties. 1st and 10 for the Buckeyes. Under pressure, incomplete. Heavy pressure that time by Mesner. Let's go down to Pat O'Brien. Pat?
Brett, you know, it's a little impossible to explain to you how loud this place is down here on the field, but let me tell you how big this stadium is. Last June, a guy named Jim Purell decided for a charity stunt to sit in every single seat. Brent, it took him 4 days, Sunday to Thursday. I don't know where he is today, but I'll guarantee you he's standing up. Let's go back to Brent.
Thank you, Pat. Carsanos with a 2nd and 10 for the Buckeyes. Here's Big Cooper. And he busts out to the 47-yard line. Mallory meeting him there. Clock ticking down to 7:45. Michigan leading by 10, 27-17. Now the nose guard, Harris, is replaced by McIntyre. And when McIntyre has come in, they've dropped him off the nose into pass coverage. This is 3rd and about 6. Off a play fake. Penalty marker is down. Carsanos will keep it. He runs for what would be a first down, but there is a penalty flag thrown in the general direction of where they call holding against the offensive line.
Looked like it might have been Cotterman, number 72 there. That'll be 10 yards. See if I can pick it up here at ground level. Watch number 66 right here, Hammerstein. That's who it is right there, the right arm. Cotterman, number 72. That's who it is right here. Oh, he's really holding.
Arrow, that's not holding, that's choking.
Well, with the liberalized rule they have on blocking
wait a
today.
minute, how liberal?
Depends on what side of the field you're on.
So coming up next, our college basketball preview. Billy Packer will be taking a look at which teams to watch for. And then, of course, next week, Georgia Tech and Michigan will tip it off on CBS. Right now, it's 3rd and 15. Carsanos under pressure. Fumble. Michigan signaling that they have it. The officials are unpiling them. It goes to Michigan. They have recovered. The Wolverines have recovered this fumble. And that is Mike Mallory, number 42, getting up with the ball.
Have you ever seen a more enthusiastic defensive group of guys? They've been unbelievable this year. You see, Carsanos will try to come up the middle after he's getting pressure, and he drops the ball. Right there, he loses it. He tries to gather it up. He cannot, and Mallory falls on it, and the Wolverines have the ball at the 33-yard line.
So what a difference that turnover ratio has been as it catches up with the Buckeyes down the stretch. Here is Perriman pounding off the right tackle as the Michigan staff will now go to work on that clock. They lead it by 10. It is run down inside of 6:45. There's a player shaken up the Ohio State side. A couple of the trainers dashed out onto the field, and Byron Lee is being helped off. Derek Eisenman checks back in. It's a 10-point lead by the Wolverines. And, of course, Michigan, win or lose, is headed for the Fiesta Bowl. And Ohio State needs a rally to get to the Cotton Bowl. But right now, Pat Dye and the Auburn Eagles are looking strong, aren't they? Second and 9. Here comes White, the tailback. He's got a seam, and he gets across the 20-yard line.
Boy, he really had good daylight here. Put yourself in number 22, Gerald White's position. Watch the daylight for you. Real Perriman, number 37, leading and getting a block. Great hole there. Great blocking by the Wolverines.
White has carried 21 times for 82 yards. This This Michigan team has lost one game by 2 points. They were tied by Illinois 3-3 in the other. Here is White. Going to set sail outside, but he's surrounded. No hole there. And Harbaugh looking back over at the Michigan sideline. So here in Ann Arbor, we have 5:29 to go. Michigan leads Ohio State 27-17. The Buckeyes had closed to within 3. Ohio State called the safety blitz, and off the fake, pulling out was Jimmy Harbaugh. His freshman flanker, John Colasar, beat his man in single coverage and raced into the end zone. A 77-yard touchdown. And the Wolverines had regained the lead by 10. And now White looking for a hole. Brought down at the 18-yard line. Chris Spielman and Sonny Gordon surround him. And the Buckeye offense can only hope for a big break now with 4:45 to go and a 10-point difference.
You know, I was going to say, Brent, that Jerry Hanlon is the quarterback coach, and he's got to be awful proud of Jimmy Harbaugh's performance today. And I'd like to wish happy birthday to Jerry's mother. Jerry played for me football at Miami, and she's 92 years old this month.
Oh, isn't that nice? Happy
birthday. Great football. Yeah, and a great football follower.
Here's third down. That was White. And Ritter slammed him to the ground at about the 24-yard line. So here comes Pat Moons. Carsados would love to take over with a 10-point deficit rather than a 13. Now Moons has hit field goals of 34 and 38. He has replaced the suspended Mike Gillette. 2 of 2. This one for breathing room. Missing. 3:36 and a breath of life for Ohio State era.
Well, they need 2 scores to get back in. There's 3:36, as you pointed out. That's plenty of time, but they've got to hit some big plays. Carsados demonstrated on the 1 touchdown drive that they had. They started about their own 20-yard line and took it down the field for when Chris Carter caught that touchdown pass. So they're going to have to hit those kind of plays on these 2 drives if they're going to try to pull it out.
Friday and Saturday, our college coverage continuing on CBS. 2:30 Eastern Time, Virginia, Maryland on Friday. 3:30 Saturday. It's Notre Dame against Miami. Here's 1st and 10. Receivers were again covered. Carsados has Carter, who is coming back to that side, and he is out of bounds at the 46-yard line.
Great scrambling by Carsados. I thought he was down, but regained his balance and threw a great strike to Chris Carter, who kept working in the direction that Carsados was working. Watch here as he's flushed out to his left. There he goes. He almost goes down, maintains his balance, and fires a great pass there to Chris Carter, number 2, who's finally run out of bounds there.
Carter with 5 catches for 90 yards. That one for 24 yards. And a first down at the 46. 3:25. And here's Keith Byers. Stretched and out of bounds by the defense. Jim Scarcelli. Let's get an update now from Jim Nantz in New York. Jim?
Brent, how about Lorenzo White of Michigan State? He has his Spartans in front on his 219-yard rushing performance, breaks the Big Ten single-season rushing mark set last year by Keith Byers. He also beats Herschel Walker's sophomore season record that was set back in 1981. 1,904 yards rushing on the season. Let's go back to Brent and Aaron.
All right, Jim, what a great year Lorenzo is in. Color him Heisman Trophy candidate next year. Carsados under pressure, throws it to Byers. Byers spins at the 50. Got to the 46-yard line. The clock, the most important thing in the game right now. And that's the kind of weather we're enjoying here on a November Saturday. course, we'll have all the stories. Take a look at the bowl picture coming up in our post-game report here on CBS. 3rd and 2. Carsados with time pressure from behind, throws incomplete. Lanise was out of bounds. Brad Cochran had coverage for the Wolverines, and they have come down now to another 4th down situation. It was 4th and 15 when Carsados hit Carter for the Buckeyes' 2nd touchdown.
Lanise did everything he possibly could to keep his feet in, but he didn't have possession of the ball. Watch here. Watch him try to keep those feet in. There's the ball. And his right foot must be touching the line, or his left foot be touching the left foot touching the line. Good call by the official, and he's right on top of it.
We've got a timeout here in Ann Arbor. We'll be right back for the final 2:30. And on a trip to Dallas and a New Year's Day game. Auburn, of course, would take on the winner of the Southwest Conference. Texas knocking off Baylor today, so it has come down to the Texas A&M game on Thanksgiving night. And there are another 4th down for Jim Carsados and the Buckeyes.
Oh, they've got a 1.5 yards. I wondered whether or not on that 3rd down play they should have gotten it then and ensure 4 more downs because there's 2.5 minutes. They're taking a risk here. They could be stopped and have to surrender the ball. This is a big down.
Carsados changing something.
Gonna throw it.
Under pressure from Scarselli. Ball is loose. He was surrounded at the 45-yard line. Michigan will take over. Jimmy Scarselli, number 85, leading the assault. Total frustration. That's what this season has been for Keith Byers.
I don't know. I think if Earl Bruce had it to do over again, he would have picked up the 1st down on 3rd down. That's what I thought they were going to do. Ensure the 4 more downs. But they had elected to pass it both times, and of course you can see what's happened. You got to take your hat off to Bo Schembechler and the entire staff. They've done a remarkable job this year after, having a very difficult year last year.
His worst season ever. And the only person who liked him in the top 20 this year was one Aaron Parsegian.
Oh, I'm glad you remembered.
Gerald White with a hole, getting through for a 1st down to the 33. A 12-yard burst. William White finally tackling him. On the day, number 4, Jim Harbaugh, is 16 of 19 for 231 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Bo Schembechler has brought the Michigan program right back to the top. They have lost to Iowa 12-10. They have been tied by Illinois 3-3.
And since that Illinois game, Harbaugh has really had a hot hand.
Off the blitz, they pitch to White. Inside the 30, and he's ridden down by Pepper Johnson. You and I established one record today. We did not credit Pepper Rogers with 1 tackle. You got a letter from the old coach. What did he say?
He says, who said I wouldn't hit? He says, I was credited for 4 tackles and I wasn't even there.
I was determined that it would be Pepper Johnson all day long. Now we want to thank some people who helped bring you this game this afternoon. Our executive producer, Kevin O'Malley, who is in Ann Arbor. Rick LaCivita, who produced this game despite that Harvard sweater. And, of course, directed by Big Joe Assetti. Great pictures, Joe, by you and the entire staff. Scott Johnson, the associate producer. Sandy Bell, who is our technical manager, and Big Artie Kempner. He kept us on the air. Thanks to everybody else, especially the cameramen, who all year long have given us those spectacular pictures of college football at its best. What a year it's been, men. And, of course, many of this crew will be with us next week. Saturday, Arrow and I will be in the Orange Orange Bowl, Miami and Notre Dame. It's amazing how early the crew has to set up down in Miami. You can't believe how much time it takes to set up the Orange Bowl.
Pretty bright fellas.
2nd and 1. Harbaugh looking at the defense. He'll come with Perriman for the first down. And the clock is running down on the Buckeyes. So a season that just a few weeks ago showed so much promise for Ohio State is now slipping away. An upset at the hands of Wisconsin. Domination by Michigan here this afternoon. And Earl Bruce must go back now and face some angry fans in Columbus. And of course, last year, Bo Schembechler in Michigan, they were dominated by Bruce in Ohio State, but he seldom loses twice in a row. Oh, I think Woody Hayes got him twice in a row. Hayden Fry did, this year being the second. Here is White, who had moved to fullback. He steps inside the 15-yard line before Holloman hauls him down at the 1-minute mark.
You know, Earl Bruce came into this season, had to rebuild his entire offensive line. He had a new quarterback that hadn't played a whole lot. He lost Byers, a very principal player. He's come back to play in this game, and I still think under the circumstances they've had a pretty good season. But unfortunately, the Wisconsin game really had to take something out of them last week.
And a post-game show is coming up, of course. We will finalize the Cotton Bowl story. Pat Dye and the Auburn Eagles getting ready for Dallas. Bo Jackson and his Heisman Trophy, and the Wolverines are not finished yet as Gerald White slams inside the 5-yard line. Johnson and Rogan bringing him down. But you can talk all you want about the bowl games. When Michigan plays Ohio State, that's the big one for these two schools.
And White has had a great afternoon. 28 carries for 113 yards.
You have to be thinking about the seniors right now on these two teams. Working for 4 years, and it comes down to these final moments. And there was Kolick slamming White, and the fans come onto the field here in Ann Arbor. Michigan has beaten Ohio State. The war will wait for another year. Bo Schembechler watching the final play. It's over. And Schembechler and the Wolverines have beaten Ohio State. Just another day in the office as Alex Agassi comes over and congratulates Bo Schembechler. And our Chevrolet players of this game. From Ohio State, linebacker Chris Spielman. From Michigan, quarterback Jim Harbaugh. And a check in the amount of $1,000 donated by Chevrolet to each college's general scholarship fund. Let's go down on the field to Pat O'Brien. Pat?
All right, thank you, Brent. You're about to lose another goalpost here, Bo. Who do you want to talk about first, your offense or defense?
Well, our team has played well all year long, Pat. We've been very proud of this Michigan team. They come to play every week. I can't say enough about them. It's been a great year coaching for me, and it's been a great year for 1985 for Michigan.
What is it with this team? I've seen you quoted saying this team is very special to you.
It is, because every single one of these guys have done everything they could to come back from that dismal season of a year ago, and we did it. Maybe we didn't win the title, but there are not too many teams better than us in the country.
Jim Harbaugh had a great hot arm today, didn't he?
Well, he's had that right along. He's going to be a great quarterback, and he was great today.
What do you mean, gonna be a great quarterback?
Well, he's coming back next year, so we'll...
All right, let's get Bo back to safety. Back to Brent.
All right, Pat. Thank you. And again, congratulations to Bo Schembechler and his entire staff. Let's go to New York and Jim Nantz. Jim?
All
All right, thank you very much, Brent.
Spectacular. That defense has been great, and I think it's Bo Schembechler's best coaching job ever.
And they still will be playing in a January 1st bowl, the Fiesta Bowl. In just a couple of minutes, we'll give you all the scores and the latest bowl situation. But right now, let's go back to Ann Arbor for some more post-game comments. Brent?
All right, Jim, thank you. So we will have some final thoughts on the scene here in Ann Arbor. But right now, we'll return after these messages from your local stations. And hitting Colazar, the freshman wideout. He outran White, getting into the end zone, a 77-yard touchdown, and Michigan never looked back. It was a marvelous day here in Ann Arbor. I'm always struck by the fans and the bands at a setting in the Big Ten. Oh, sure, you get Bo Schembechler and Earl Bruce, and you get the players filing out on the field. You always knew that the Buckeyes and the Wolverines would be ready. But here today, the fans and the bands were ready, too. People started coming into this stadium an hour before kickoff. And then those high-stepping marching bands that are so familiar in the Big Ten. And then Ohio State and Michigan went to work. Keith Byers trying to return from the injury. And what a job he did here this afternoon. But it was not enough because Jimmy Harbaugh and that Wolverine defense of Bo Schembechler dominated this game. So when we come back, you're going to be hearing from Jim Nantz and Pat Hayden what's ahead in the bowl picture as the Auburn Eagles set sail for Dallas in the Cotton Bowl. They'll have the entire story when we come back.
Fiesta Bowl. Also in the Big Ten, Iowa locked it up with a win over Minnesota. UCLA in the West Coast in front of USC. John Lee has just kicked a field goal to tie the all-time NCAA record for career field goals. Here's USC touchdown that tied it up at one time. Joe Cormier gets the touchdown down the right sideline, 34 yards. But again, Lee has kicked the field goal. UCLA is in front. So here's the Rose Bowl situation. If the Bruins can hold on and win, they will go against Iowa in the Rose Bowl on January the 1st. Now, should they lose today, Arizona State with a win over Arizona tonight will go against Iowa in the Rose Bowl. All right, Penn State against Pittsburgh tonight. Nittany Lions going to the Orange Bowl, win or lose. Number 2, Nebraska, and number 5, Oklahoma, are playing for the Orange Bowl right now. That is because Oklahoma State is just a final. They were beaten by Iowa State 15-10. So the Big 8 standings going into today, Nebraska and Oklahoma both without a loss in conference play. Oklahoma State now has 2 losses. Chalk up another one for the Cowboys. So here's what it's going to be. Orange Bowl, Penn State against Nebraska, Oklahoma winner. The Fiesta Bowl will be Michigan against the Nebraska.
Michigan Replay.